This week's episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob is a collaboration with the author R. Jacob Honeybrook. You can buy his brand new book, When We Once Loved, on Amazon right now for 99 cents. So go do that and then listen to the show.
Welcome to I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, your friendly neighborhood film snob. And this week, guys, we've got a guest, and it's a classy guest. None of that riffraff that we've had on before. Just kidding. I love all of my guests. But today, we got a cool one. Normally, we talk movies, and we'll definitely do some movie chat. But today, we're going to go into the world of books and literature, which is a lot of fun. I'm a big reader. Um, Not so much since having a toddler, but I do love me some horror, and we're going to talk horror books with a wonderful guest who we've been trying to get on for a little while now. So really glad to have him here tonight. He is one third of the excellent podcast Midnight Terrors. So if you haven't heard him on that yet, go check him out there. He is a wonderful writer. He's got a brand new novella out right now called, I'm going to get it wrong, When We Once Loved. Please welcome to the show, R. Jacob Honeybrook. Welcome, Roy.
Hey, good on, mate.
Oh, that is a sick burn.
You knew I was going to do my Australian accent.
You got to compete against Jason. How are you? It's nice to finally have you on the show.
Yeah, man, doing well. It's good to finally be here. I know we've been talking for a little bit, so great to finally meet you Zoom-wise.
Absolutely, man. It's funny. In my head, the intro was planned way longer, and I was like, "Oh, we've been laughing so much. I'm gonna stuff it up, and then I'll have to start again." So we're just gonna cut it short. We're gonna talk to touch on the book and just get into there. But yeah, I've been really looking forward to this, and we've been chatting for a bit the last couple of weeks. And I was like, I just hope the interactions we're having, like in chat, will reflect in a conversation. And I was
hmm
just, like, we spoke for half an hour. We've never met before. We're just like, let's just keep laughing. This is great. So it's good to have you on the show, and I'm glad that, like, I don't know, at least on my end, like it all lived up. I'm like, okay, he is as cool as like he presented himself. So that's really good.
Man, I lived up to the hype.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's crazy. I do present myself pretty cool, so I'm kind of shocked that that translates well.
You do present yourself very cool. Like some of the promotional photos you use on Instagram, like you're the only writer I know who can rock a tank top and like a Norse hammer like necklace, like
Well, that's one of the things I like to do in that whole promotion and marketing of myself as a writer is they always say look at what the best or top people are doing and try to emulate that. And I think there's something to that, but I look at what the best top tier people do and then I try to do the opposite, which may be
nice.
horrible. I don't know, but I kind of do my own thing. Like, yo, this is me. I'm a meathead. I'm kind of a scumbag, but I also enjoy writing, so here we are.
You don't present yourself as a scumbag, like especially not in your writing. Oh my God, we'll talk about it because I read that new book. Jesus Christ, is it beautiful? It's so good.
Thank you,
Um,
man. Really appreciate that. And you taking the time to check it out.
yeah, wow, we're gonna talk about it because I love it. Like I've been reading a little bit lately, and it's one of my favorite things I've read in a while. So, um, oh my God, what was I gonna say? Oh no, you were saying how you like to subvert what those up top do. Like you like whatever like the popular or whatever the successful are doing. You're like, I'm gonna do my own thing, and I kind of like to do that myself. We're just kind of comparing like similarities before, and my whole thing on my show, and I know you've listened to a couple episodes, is like
Mhm.
everyone on the internet is like, let's tear it apart. Let's just like criticize. So I'm like, hey, what if we loved everything? Like,
What if we make a happy podcast?
let's just be nice. Let's say, guys, oh, how good is that terrible movie? Like, yeah, okay, it's poorly made, and yeah, the performances are awful, but the music, like, just hear that music? That's pretty sweet. So
hmm
so I believe in subverting and going against the grain as well.
Well, I think there's something to that too about the positive reviews. Even if you don't love it, there you can still usually find something good in it. And I know a lot
Mm.
of my favorite YouTube channels, like you can only listen to somebody tear a shitty movie apart so much before it's like, well, yeah, it's a
Mm.
garbage movie. I don't expect you to like it. But
Yeah.
when you can watch something and they really highlight the positives and maybe this isn't for everyone, but this is why I enjoyed it and maybe you can too. I think yeah, there's definitely something to that.
100%. Like our whole philosophy is like, look, if every movie is someone's favorite movie, then there are no bad movies, right? Like at least if it's a
Mhm.
court of matter, it's a court of opinion. And you being an author, like I was talking about this with someone like just last night. I'm like, how can you possibly grade art?
Mm.
Like, just how can you do it? And like, I know we have to, because otherwise, critics wouldn't have jobs and stuff like that. But it's like we don't have to. Like, I love The Godfather. It's a masterpiece. I think Schindler's
Mhm.
List is excellent. I'll tell you what movie I've watched more than both of those combined: The Room, Birdemic, like House of Wax with Paris Hilton. Like, there's so many flicks that I've
Yeah.
seen way more, and like they're not better than those films, but they're enjoyable and they're fun, and like I get something out of it. It's like I don't know. I think
Well,
people.
yeah, when you talk about grading art, I mean, everything is so subjective from music to books to movies. It's like, one, how really can you? Because there's something out there for everyone. Like, I know some of the music I listen to just sounds like a guy screaming like a demon and just horrible quality. Like, I
Oh no.
guarantee most people, right? I guarantee most people won't like this, but I like it.
Yeah.
And two, just coming from that creative place, and I'm sure you get this with being a podcaster, and I know you do like screenwriting and stuff. It's like, how can you really tear something down and objectively say it's bad, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much to it that you can't just be like, oh, that's bad. Well, what makes it bad? Is it because you didn't specifically like it? Is it because the writing wasn't well done? Like, what
Yeah.
makes it that way?
Yeah. There's very and like this, look, it's kind of an act. I don't love everything. Like, so I'll reveal the curtain a little bit. Of course, I don't love everything, but I just tend to avoid the stuff I don't think I like. Or if I watch and I don't like, I just don't talk about it. It's like I
Yeah,
don't need to tear something apart.
sure.
But at the same, yeah, I don't know. Like, I was talking to someone about it because you mentioned music and you mentioned metal, and I'm a big metal fan as well. I was talking to someone for dinner last night, and she also has like a similar background. She loves like punk and emo and metal and
Hmm.
stuff. And she's like, "Have you ever been like at a concert and you're like, why do I like this music?" Like, she's from Sweden, and she's like, it's a bit, like she's like trying to kind of explain it to me. She's like, "You just
Big
sat
metal
there and you're like,
country.
why is it that I like this music?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't. Do you know what I think when I'm at like a metal concert or I'm listening to like a metal record? I'm like, how is it that no one else likes this? That's the question I'm
Hmm.
asking." Like, and I don't know whether it's me just trying to positively frame it, but I'm just like, why is this considered lesser? Why is this considered worse? Why is this not considered as entertaining or having the same value just because what the guitars are louder, the voice is deeper?
Hmm.
Like, doesn't really make sense to me. It's like, yeah,
Well, that's a good question as far as why certain people are drawn to certain things. Like, I know for me, I've always been on the darker side of things in life, so that's why I was always drawn to horror. I was drawn to metal with those themes of like demons and monsters, and it's not all like that. There's a lot of history and literature in there. It's weird. It's weird to wonder why we like certain things. But I mean,
mm.
while metal is my bread and butter, I listen to so much different stuff. Like Johnny Cash is one of my favorites. Blink
Oh,
182 are
so
some of my
good. Yeah,
favorites.
yeah.
So it's weird to think what makes us. I mean, I guess that's part of what makes us us is what we enjoy and what we vibe with. So yeah, I've never
Yeah,
really thought why. I think something about the intensity, the just like the raw emotion behind that sound. It
I
just
think
all comes
it's
out.
yeah, I think it's just so primal as well. Like I remember, like even we would like I studied film in high school, my last couple of years of high school, and we would did a lesson on music clips, and there was a guy in my class, and he was big dance guy, big like into like performing, and he's like way into hip hop, and like they played like a hip hop video clip, and like we were just watching it. I didn't know much about it. It wasn't even hip hop, it was more R&B, like kind of like I don't know, it would have been Chris Brown or something. And the whole
Hmm.
time I'm watching, I wasn't even like paying attention, but I was just like, all this is about is like money and
Hmm.
bitches, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think it's even like a personal value thing because I would like money. I would like women. Like, because at that point I was just
I
seeing
think we
very
all might.
single. I would like these things, but I was like, I don't
All the
need that in
above.
my. I don't need it in my music. And then like they played a Slipknot clip, and like he was like, "Oh, it's so aggressive." I was like, "Oh, sorry, there was emotion in this music video." Like I'm like, sorry, it wasn't bitches and money. Like, yeah, it's. I think like it's just you connect to that sort of stuff, especially if you do like I think it's just that kind of core primal like emotion where you're like, yeah, this is like I don't know, like he's screaming and he's maybe saying the things that I want to say, or he's like kind of expressing himself in a way that now I get it. Like it's the
Hmm.
same. This is a weird tangent, but same thing with Batman. That's like I could never be Batman, but in my mind, I'm like, well, he doesn't have superpowers, and he gets to like take justice into his hands. I think sometimes I'd like to do that, so I guess I connect with Batman because of that. Like it's just all that.
Theoretically, you could be Batman.
Yeah, I mean, look, I might be Batman if it was Christian Bale from like American Hustle. Like that's about the
Well, it's interesting what you said too about music, and I find now like I've liked pop music from the 90s to the 2000s, even in the 2010s there were some good ones. But now like pop music, rap music, to me it just sounds all overproduced and so robotic that when anytime I hear something that isn't like that, like a new up and coming like punk band or hardcore band or something like that, it's like, man, this is so much different than just hearing the same beat and the
yeah.
same or a same chord progression that it really draws you into it. And that is part of my theory is why Creed has gotten so big again.
Okay.
Because I feel like kids today, they listen to me, it sounded like an old motherfucker over here. I feel like kids today now listen to this overly commercialized and produced music, and it's so samey sounding. And then
Mm,
some of their parents are like, well, let's listen to Creed. And now it's had this whole revival of, man, this sounds so much different than what I'm used to. I love
mm,
Creed. And they've,
yeah.
ironically or unironically, I don't know. I think they're pretty awesome, but they've had this comeback. And that's my theory.
It's I couldn't tell you like unless they like appeared on SNL or unless like my wife has explained to I couldn't tell you a pop group like from today. Like
Hmm.
I know I like
It's a good point.
Taylor Swift's been big in our house because we have a young daughter and like it's very safe music. So I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, like you can put on a Taylor Swift song and like chances are like she's not gonna, she's not gonna hear anything she shouldn't hear at age 3.
Taylor
But
Swift's my dream girl too.
yeah. So I'll play her
I'm
that. Like
jealous of those Kelsey brothers.
I'll play like some Paramore and stuff, which is a little bit
Hmm.
heavier and stuff like that. But I couldn't tell you like a modern group. I couldn't tell you anything like it. I'll hear stuff. I don't voluntarily listen to the radio, and that's just me being a grumpy old man. But like, if I listen to the radio, I have no idea what it is. And like the stuff I like is now oldies. Like it's now like
Hmm.
considered like I think 90s is now part of the oldies. I'm like, oh, guess who's on the wrong side of 35? Like,
Yep.
there we go.
Yeah, I mean, I had that same experience. One of the last times I listened to the radio was probably in the late 2010s. And there was a classic rock station. I turn it on and it's Blink 182, all the small things. I'm just like, huh. This
Yeah.
isn't going in my favor, is it?
Yeah, I was like 11 when that came out, like 11 or 12. Like, I
Yeah.
can't remember this one. Yeah, and like now, yeah, it's like it's old music. Like people, yeah, it's so strange.
And I say yeah because I remember hearing one of your episodes. We're the same age, I think. I'm 35.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so me too. I'll be 36 like
Yeah.
in a few months, but yeah.
So it's not like I
Um,
was, stalking you since you were 11. I
I
just
look,
put two and two
look,
together. Maybe I was.
someone was paying attention. Like, when you get no attention, some is good. Um, nice one. So, as I said, you recently joined the Midnight Terrors guys. Kind of like, I guess, is it full time duties now? Like, I know you did some guest appearances early on.
Mhm.
Some of my favorite episodes, like definitely your appearances, like the Hills Have Eyes episode and stuff. But yeah, did it was it the end of last year? You kind of made it like a fixed thing, so now you're a pretty regular fixture on the show.
Yeah, it was the beginning of this year.
Mm,
I had appeared on there a handful of times.
yep,
I originally got in contact with those guys when I moved out to Ohio and I had no job, no friends, no nothing really.
sure.
Um, so I just started focusing on my writing and trying to promote that. And one of the things I did is coming from a marketing, public relations background, I just wrote myself a pitch like, hey, my
Nice.
name's Roy. I've written these horror stories. I would love to come on your podcast and talk some horror. Sent it out to a bunch of places. The Midnight Terrors guys were one of the shows that got back to me. So appeared on there a few times as a guest. Specifically, Kevin and I initially hit it off just because like we were talking about metal music. He and I really
Mm,
connected on that, and obviously on horror. So it kind of ended up we became fast friends, just bullshitting over text. And went on their show a couple times. And at the beginning of this year, he was like, "Hey, we really enjoy your guest appearances. We think they go really well. We love you in person as a friend. Like, do you just want to come on and be third chair and do this full time?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah!"
nice. Yeah, nice one, man. Those dudes are such sweethearts. Like they don't
Really?
you like you don't always like hear it straight away. Like because Jason will like he will just like shred everyone. Like there's no one's
Hmm.
safe on a show with Jason, but like they're just absolutely lovely dudes. Such sweet guys. And when I heard that announcement, I got very excited. 'Cause I think it was on. maybe the Exorcist Believer episode you did, which I was so happy to, because I hadn't seen it at that point. I finally
Hmm.
watched it earlier this year, and everyone was tearing it apart. And I'm like, come on, man! Like, there's no way it's the worst horror film ever made. And then you guys were so like loving about it, and like so like you're like, look, is it the original Exorcist? No, but like there's
Hmm.
so much to like here, and like even like and you're like I was spoiler filled, which didn't bother me at all. I don't like care about spoilers too much, but just hearing
Right.
you guys talk about it and just like giving it like a positive perspective, I'm like, yeah, I really like these guys. And then the draft episode you did, which I was saying before, like where you that was where I was like, oh, now I know who like Roy is. Now I know who this
Yeah.
guy is because you just got to like goof around and be yourself. And like I was in tears, man. Some of the stuff you were pulling was so funny. I was like, I gotta get this guy on a show eventually. And even after that, I had to wait for you to ask to come on the show, but it was just because I'm bad at doing that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it's only a strength for that show to get you on there because I just think you like some of the stuff you say is so insightful and you have so many great questions and like contributions to it. So I was very excited to see that. So I just wondered how that
Wow.
all happened.
Wow. Thank you so much, man. That seriously means a lot um, that you enjoy hearing me on there. And I think that's part of the thing I bring to it too is being a writer and making this
Mm.
stuff. I can kind of take a look at these stories and ask those questions or kind of give that insight. Not that I was there during the making of the movies or anything like
Yeah.
that. Not that important to everyone.
Too busy
Uh,
stalking me. Like you didn't have time to conversate with
right,
the
yeah,
stuff.
I'm taking notes on
Yeah.
this guy all of his life. I can't be making movies.
Oh, you
And
chose the wrong path there, man. Sorry. Like it's very could have been a very boring decade for you.
well, throw out all these notebooks. But on top of that, just having a blast with them
Mm.
and episodes. I mean, every episode really. I feel like we all three have some great chemistry. But when we can get ZC Cruel on there, who's a good friend of ours, and
Yeah.
um, just kind of bounce off each other, and that ball kind of never drops, and we just keep going back and forth. It's like, man, this is absolutely so much fun, and why I love doing this stuff.
I think you guys are such a great like pair. And it's not like it didn't seem like deliberate at first, but you guys just ended up kind of being on a couple episodes together, and then it obviously became very deliberate because you are so like very loud and have like all these great opinions. And Kroll is so, and I've never met him, so I'm talking about him, so I know I've never met the guy, but he's just like so sweet and soft spoken, and like you're like buy my books, and he's just like oh yeah, I've got some books. It's just like it's such a
Uh,
great combination.
I absolutely love ZC Cruel, man. You guys have to meet sometime. I
Yeah.
think you would really like him. And yeah, that was another one, kind of like with Kevin. I was introduced through ZC through Midnight Terrors, and he, after hearing me on there, wanted to check out my writing. So he read my story, Devils in the Night, and wrote this amazing review on it. And I'm
Oh,
just like,
nice.
whoa, what is happening here? And then we hopped on the Midnight Terrors Reanimator podcast together. And
Oh, good
having
flick.
never, oh yeah, and having never met ZC before, we're just like shooting the shit like we've known each other our entire lives. So I'm like, man, I love this dude. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And we just became, again, fast friends from there. And man, that's one
Nice.
of the things I love about just doing this writing, podcasting thing is just, whether we just started talking like you and I a couple weeks ago, or, it's like as soon as I meet somebody in this horror thing or this movie thing or this podcast thing, it's like, man, I click with certain people and we click so well that I just know I've made lifelong friends.
I talk about it a lot, and I think I talked about it with Kev. I was just like, contrary to popular belief, the internet's actually not like a horrible cesspool of hate. Like that's definitely there, but
Hmm.
every interaction I've had since starting the Instagram page and then the podcast, nothing but positive.
Right.
Like the worst I've got is someone has either left me on scene or not checked the message. So I'm like, hey, that's
That's
cool.
not bad.
Yeah, like that's fine. Like, but like, I've
Right.
never had like I mean I've got a couple of buddies on the Movie Bonus podcast, and like they got shredded on TikTok for like criticizing the original like the David Lynch Dune film. It's like,
Oh.
geez, man, like all they did was share an opinion. Like, but my experience has been like you couldn't like make an internet safety video about my experience. Tell people like, I don't know, everyone's really nice. Like, everyone jump on, say whatever you want, share your information. No one to be mean to you, but it's not like that. But I've had a very lucky experience. So,
I'm the same
um,
way. Like some of the stuff I put out, I expect to just be torn to shreds, whether it's some kind of crude joke I make or, hey, this guy just looks funny. It's like I haven't been yet, knock on wood, but like I just kind of expect it when I put it out there. Like, oh, I would trash me, so why won't other people?
Yeah. And it's interesting, like you mentioned, like the comments and the crude jokes and stuff, because like that's one thing that I really like about Midnight Terrors is they don't pull any punches, like especially Jason. Like, And now with you, and with you there now as well, I just feel like you egg each other on so much. 'Cause I'm like, wow, like they're so, and it's not me being like, how dare they? Like I'm not a prude at all, but I'm like, wow, like they're going in places where like a lot of people wouldn't go in 2024. Like I'm glad we still have that. Like,
Mhm.
um, so it's always fun to hear you guys. I do think like I remember after my first appearance on the show, I did the Dawn of the Dead episode with them, like afterwards, and I
Was
think
that
it's
the
why,
remake one?
yeah, the remake one.
Beautiful remake, one of the best.
So good. And I think like one of the reasons I feel like I relate to you so well is like, I think our approach to kind of film is quite similar because at the end of the episode, they're like, oh, it's really cool to have someone on who talks about film in such an analytical way. I was like, oh, did I? I don't know. I was just talking about the stuff that I noticed. And then like when I listen to you talk, I'm like, oh, we can't talk about things today. I'm like, but that makes sense, like writer's mind and stuff. Like, all right, cool. Um, but yeah, it's yeah, we had someone like to be so analytical, and I was like, I was just talking about the stuff I saw, man. Like, like
Right.
and the things I like. But okay, like
That's
it sounds clever, so I'll take it. Can you
mhm.
say that in the episode that I'm an analytical mind because that'll sound impressive to my parents. But like anyway,
Analytical genius over here.
that's
Well,
uh that's yeah.
it's
Sorry,
funny because
go on.
I'm. Oh no, you're good. It's funny. I'm the same way. Like I just mentioned, I can ask these questions and kind of see where they're going with storytelling. So in that sense, I kind of get it, but at the same time, I don't feel like I say anything that profound. But then I'll get feedback like, "Wow, you made some really good points during it. I never thought about it that way." I'm just like, I don't know. I just I saw it on the screen and just had a thought.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember. I definitely talked to you about it off mic. I can't remember if I mentioned already because we have been talking for 20 minutes about nothing. Um,
We're like
you,
Seinfeld.
I really, yeah, exactly. This is a show about nothing. Don't put that in the title of a podcast episode because no one will listen to it, as I found out
I,
last week.
I saw that post.
I was like, nothing really happened this week. Like, I just kind of talked to my wife for an hour. Like, I don't know, we'll call it the nothing's happening, and then people are like, nothing's happening. We're not listening to it. I was like,
Well, now
but
you learned, and next time you'll be like,
yeah.
"Man, everything happened this week," and then it'll be
We
5 minutes.
once I called the audience out, people started listening to. It. I was like,
Okay.
I just had to like berate them. I'm like, listen to it.
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes you have to.
you guys just did an episode on High Tension, at least at the time
Hmm.
of recording this, and it's a film that I've always enjoyed. But one thing that I had a problem with the time I watched it was like, I won't spoil a 20-year-old movie, but there's a twist in it. I'm like, this twist wasn't earned. Like, what are you
Hmm.
talking about? And then you brought it up, and I was like, okay, good. So I'm not the only person because I've talked about it, and people are like, it doesn't matter if it wasn't earned. Like, I'm like, no, it's a good film. Like, just give me a reason. Like, you can't just make up the ending. Like, I guess
Right.
you can. This is a creative medium, but like, put some thought into it. And then, like, thankfully, like, I think it was Kev or Jason was like, oh no, there is this one line. I was like, oh, thank you for the throwaway line that I
Hmm.
missed. Like, good.
Yeah, I mean, that was my whole thing with it is the beginning was very, to me, it was confusing because you had the hospital scene where they say, "Tell us your story." And I have the loudest air conditioner in the world here. I have to watch movies with subtitles on now because of it. And
Yep.
I wasn't doing that when I was watching this, so I just heard like, and I guess that's when they said like, "Hey, you're in an insane asylum. Tell us what happened and how you got here." Well, genius me missed all of that. So
Yeah.
we have like this hospital scene, then it cuts to a dream sequence, then we're in a car, and I'm just like, can we start the movie? Like where are we beginning at? So
Yeah.
to me, the beginning was way too more complicated than it should have been, and
Mm.
I didn't really get it from there. Well, I got it, but I didn't really fully understand what was happening until I had to watch an explainer on it. I'm like, okay, now this makes more sense. Unreliable narrator, her perspective. I
Yeah.
gotcha.
I was glad I wasn't the only one. I was like, good. So it's not just me then. I think my favorite
Right.
thing about that episode though is how clearly uncomfortable Kevin is the entire time. Like this is not his style of horror at all.
Oh, I know.
And you guys are like, would you do more French extreme movies? It's like probably not. Like it's just uh,
I think Jason may have picked that specifically to traumatize him.
and I can't remember who it was. It was either you or Jason, but someone mentioned Martyrs, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
Kevin can't watch Martyrs if he's struggling with high tension. He can't watch Martyrs. It's so tough. Like,
That was me, by the way.
yeah,
I
I
saw
thought it was
Martyrs
you.
once, and I'm like, oh my God, this movie is just way over the top.
I was talking to a friend about it recently, because she's a big horror fan and she doesn't watch international films very often. But like this time, she was like, I've heard Martyrs is like a pretty good horror film. Should I watch it?" And I was like, "Well, it's just like, is it good?" And I'm like, "I don't think it's the kind of film you can kind of describe as good or bad. Like, it's it is what it is, and you
Hmm.
just got to watch it. And like, if you're open to the idea of watching it, then and you like extreme horror, you'll get something out of it. I was like, but you also just had a baby. Like, it might be too late for you. Like, you maybe should have watched it, 18 months ago.
You
But
missed the boat.
yeah, like I got a lot of that stuff, a lot of extreme horror, and I'm like, there are some flicks that like isn't the right word, but now that I've got a kid, I'm like, I can't watch Cannibal Holocaust again. I can't watch, I can't watch I Spit on Your Grave again. Like, it might be too late for me now. Like, I don't need to watch I Spit
What's
on Your Grave. That one's pretty full on. But
That one's pretty nuts, yeah. But
yeah.
what's interesting about some of those extreme horror movies, like we talk about Martyrs, is it asks or examines such an existential question
Mm.
at the end and throughout it, you know? Like the whole time that group's trying to figure out what happens after death, and then all that stuff happens after the
Mm.
victim apparently sees death, and it just leaves you with all these questions. And, like, I don't know, there's something to that. It's such a thought-provoking story, but portrayed in such a gruesome style. I mean, to me, it hits. Like, I love all that stuff, but
Yeah.
I know for some people, their bread and butter isn't seeing someone just get beaten for a half hour.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I got warned because I'm trying to think what the most brutal thing I'd seen. I think I'd seen Human Centipede 2 by then, which I think is still probably the grossest film I've seen. Like, it's
That's a good way
pretty,
to put it. Yeah, it's not really
yeah.
scary. It's just kind of like, ugh.
And so, like, I was like, is it worse than Human Centipede 2? Because if it is, I don't know if I can handle it. And they're like, no, like, kind of, but you have to just make a decision. And so when I kind of watched it, I'm like, okay, I can handle this because, like, as you said, it's just someone like beating the crap out of someone for like the last half hour.
Hmm.
Like, it's not pleasant to watch. It's very unsettling, but it's not like, teeth getting knocked out with a claw hammer and, tendons getting snipped and stuff like that. And so it's like, okay, like it's psychologically, it's pretty rough. Like, again, like now that I'm a father, probably couldn't do it again.
Hmm.
But like back in my 20s, like, okay, I can handle this. Like, I picked up a bunch of French extreme stuff while I've been here, and I'm like, am I ever going to watch this? like, I bought Inside. I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever watch Inside. I bought Frontiers. It's like, oh, this might be, we'll see. I'll give them a go. Um, but yeah, I'm not afraid. Yeah, the only thing I probably won't ever watch is like Serbian film. Like that I
Hmm.
just have no desire to watch that. I've seen Salo and that was pretty full on. So I think
Right.
everyone here listening is like, oh my god, like what's this horrible trash he's been watching? He's never talked about this in the podcast before.
Well,
Guys,
isn't Salo, isn't that the movie version or the movie interpretation of 120 Days of Sodom by the
that's what it
Suds?
is. Yeah, yeah,
That's what I thought. I've seen clips
absolutely.
of it,
Yeah,
and I've
it's
read that
not.
book.
Okay,
Well, you talk
okay.
about just feeling just dirty.
Mm,
Like, I've played like violent video games, listened to some crazy music, seen some wild movies. Dude, I read 120 Days of Sodom. I'm just like, fuck. Like, I
yeah,
feel like a real piece of shit, and now I might be on some kind of list from ordering this.
yeah. It's oh man, like it's one of those ones. Yeah, I never need to see it again. Like, and it's not like the things that they're subjected to is horrible, like of course. But what's worse is like just the facial reactions of all the like people doing those things. It's just like close up of like sweaty men licking their lips and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, like this was a choice. Like,
They
and
meant to do this.
if people listening to this are grossed out and like James, why after 100 episodes you finally talk about these films? Roy's just really disarming. Like he's just a lovely guy. It's just making me spill my guts.
I come
Uh,
off like a super nice person, and then I, launch
you said
the
you
the sexual torture.
Yeah, you said scum before. I'm like, nah, could you imagine? Actually,
It's
Roy,
coming to
you're
mind now,
not welcome back. You're like, I didn't say anything. You said you watched Sailor, like you piece of
huh? I've
gum.
never seen it. I don't know what it's about.
Yeah. Let's talk about your writing, because you got a new book out,
Mhm.
which is it's awesome, man. Look, I didn't know what to expect. Like, I knew obviously you're a horror writer, and I think you I don't know if you told me or whether it was in a post you put be like, how do I sell a horror romance? It's like, cool. I
Yes.
was like, all right, awesome. And I didn't know anything about it going in. You were very generous to send me a copy so I got to read it beforehand. And I was messaging you pretty much daily. Like every time I'd finish reading, I was like, oh, I like this. Here's the thing. Like, and I won't spoil it because obviously we want people to buy it. For the high price of 99 cents.
Breaking the bank, I know.
But I think my first reaction was like, dude, like this just feels like I'm reading Silent Hill. Like,
Hmm.
and you're like, that's what I was going for. So
Yeah.
like, tell me like without we'll try to avoid spoilers. Like, tell me about the book. Like, where does it come from? Like you said, this is one of the hardest things you've worked on. Like,
Mhm.
tell us about the new book and yeah, how it all came to be.
Yeah, so like you were saying, it is a love story with some horror sprinkled in there. Um, so I guess I'll start with a synopsis of it. Basically,
Yeah, go for it.
this older World War II veteran, he gets a letter from a girl he was dating before the war while he was training in the South on a military base, and they kind of lost contact during the war. So he gets a letter from this girl, Ellie, and she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be waiting in the town we first met, Arcadia Falls." Total Silent Hill 2 opening ripoff. I know. I'm not unaware of my sources. But when
Well,
he
I haven't
gets
played Silent Hill 2, so I
ah,
didn't get the reference. I was just like, it wasn't, and sorry to interrupt your synopsis, but I
mm,
do want to say, like, it was just the way it was written, just like, there are some transitions. I don't want to give too much away, but there's some
mhm,
transitions. Like, this feels like Silent Hill. Like, this is really cool. And anyway, I'll,
interesting.
I'll, I'll I'll continue my compliments as we go along, but I'll let you get back to your synopsis. Sorry.
Well, now that you say you never played that Silent Hill game, this is a wholly original idea. I thought of everything and ripped nothing off. Um, so yeah, this old World War II veteran gets a letter from a girl he dated. He goes back to this town where she says she'll be waiting, where they first met. But when he gets there, he sees this woman in like a black funeral dress. So he follows her through town. And the way I put it is the past begins to come alive. And he relives his time with his war buddies. He relives his intimate memories with Ellie. But within those memories, there's some horrific things that he needs to come face to face with to really be able to put those to rest and move on with his life. And at the same time, he's trying to reconnect with his lost love, Ellie.
Mm.
And we'll see if he can do that.
It's you mentioned like obviously it's kind of reconnecting with his war buddies, or kind of remember going through those memories and stuff like that. I think those were some of my favorite parts of the story. I think I said to him like, you chose to this dialect, and like it just like it rang so true to me. Like having so limited understanding of accents and dialects, like in America and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But like I could like it was almost like when you read a book, when you think about history, like, well, the present is in color and the past is in black and white. But for me, reading this book, I kind of visualized it in reverse, where like the kind of life he's walking through now is black and white. But
Mm.
every time you kind of brought like these war buddies back, you brought Ellie back. That's when it was like this kind of technicolor, like 1940s dream, and like it all came down to the dialogue for me. I just thought it was so well written, like it was so colorful, like, and I think you even mentioned like, oh, I was worried to be like a little bit hokey, but I'm like, no, this is like my favorite part. Like, I just love the way they talk, and it felt honest. Like, it didn't feel like you
Mm.
were just making it up. Like, there was such like an earnestness to it. So, did you have to do research at that? Was it just like, oh, I've seen some World War II films? Like, how did that all come about?
Yeah, so I never realized this until I was talking to Kevin with Midnight Terrors, and he was saying that the historical parts of it seems like stories that his grandparents or great uncles or whatever would talk about when he was a kid.
Okay.
And when he said that, that really rang true to me because I come from an older family, like I'm the youngest by far in my
Okay.
family, so um, as a kid, we didn't really have aunts and uncles because my dad was an only child. We had great aunts and great uncles and my grandparents. So we would always hang around them all the time, and they had all been in World War II, and we would hear all their stories. Like we would hear my pap's stories about, his time at sea because he was in the Navy and in the Pacific Theater and in Europe, and my great uncle's story, who was a notorious liar but had the best stories. Like I'm pretty sure he said once or twice that he fist fought Hitler in the Reichstag and raised up the American flag. Just crazy stuff like that. But there were so many just stories like that we would hear, and I mean, just hearing that as a kid, I'm sure they stuck with me. And I wasn't really thinking about those when I wrote this. In fact, I never wanted to write historical fiction because all of my stories take place in its own self-contained universe. Like, have you ever
Sure.
played the Grand Theft Auto games?
Yeah, of course, absolutely, yeah.
So one thing I always loved about those is they're all loosely connected. Like all the Grand Theft Auto games take place in the same universe as the Manhunt games, that take place in the same universe as the Bully game. So I
I
always,
didn't know that. Wow, that's cool.
oh yeah. Yeah, if you're listening to like the radio on Grand Theft Auto 3, they mention the police chief of Manhunt and Carcer City where that game takes place. And I always thought that was so cool because you'd have these recurring characters or even just
Mm.
mentions of them. So I always wanted to do that with my own storytelling. So I didn't want to go down the historical fiction route and introduce the shitty real world into my world because that's mine.
Sure.
But as I'm writing this story, this love story, this wartime story, I was thinking like, do I want to set this in the future? I'm like, it's kind of fucking corny. And then I was like, there's not really a good war per se going on right now, at least not with America that we could do. So that's kind of out of the question. Um, so then I kept thinking like, well, maybe I can look to the past for this one and maybe like Revolutionary War, Civil War. I'm like, those seem too unrelatable from where we're at now. I don't want to set it so far back in the past. People are like, nah, I can't really identify with this.
Mm.
So as I'm writing it, I'm just like, oh, this is a World War II story. And it was weird how that came about because when I was writing it, it was an ambiguous war. I wasn't even going to mention what war it was at first. But as I'm writing it, I'm just like, you know what, fuck it. This is World War II. It's telling me it's that time period. So let's just run with that. And it's kind of interesting how that came about. But you mentioned too the dialect that the characters used. Like, hey, how you doing that, Toots?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's funny because that is one of the big things that stands out to people now that they enjoy. And I had that idea in my head of how people spoke back then, especially some of the stuff I read, like Great Gatsby is one of my favorite books that takes place in the
Mine too.
20s.
Yeah.
And just stuff around that time period I've read a lot of. I've seen countless World War II movies. I've always had a passion for studying history, so ton of World War II books on the shelf. But when it came to how people spoke and interacted with each other, I mean, how do you explain that if you didn't live it? So,
Mm.
with the dialogue and the dialect and the phrases, I would always just go onto Google and I would be like, what's a term for idiot? And that was popular in the 40s. Or how would you say, hey, come dance with me in the 1940s? And just stuff like that, just making sure that nothing was out there. I wasn't using too many modern terms to describe what was happening in the past. I wanted it to feel authentic to a point, but I wasn't so concerned on the historic side that this has to be 100% historically accurate. I was mainly just doing it for an authenticity feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It plays like that because I remember like I'd obviously listened to you on the podcast and stuff, so I kind of knew what you sounded like and the way you talked, and I was like, I think I was surprised early on, kind of how clean cut the dialogue was, because I know you're a cursor and stuff like that, which I've like, I'm
Hmm.
not like how dare you like this, but like I kind of expected like well like you write what you know, so I was kind of expecting like especially because there's some fights and stuff and there's some like some breezy guys and stuff and they're like they'll probably curse, and it's so clean cut. So when like finally it does happen, I was like oh my god like I forgot like someone does like swear at one point. I was like oh that's right
Hmm.
like this is Jacob Honeybrook. Of course, there's some swearing in this, but it just kind of, but it made it so much more effective. But like,
Hmm.
just I think you really, yeah, like tapped into it because I just bought it like hook, line, and sinker. I was like, this is great. Like, it's I thought I was the only one who noticed, but apparently everyone loves it. So I'm a poser. It's cool. But um,
It's all right. I love posers too.
but the other thing I really liked is the romance.
Mm.
And romance has been something that's not been on my mind a lot until the last couple of years. Like, I've never been a rom-com guy. I've never really like been a sucker for love stories. Like, I kind of find they can often be quite corny. So, like, but the last couple of years, I've kind of changed my tune with kind of dug deeper
Mm.
and found a couple of flicks that are really good. I'm like, okay, like maybe there is room for some love stories, amongst all the horror. Um, and again, like without giving too much away, it's a relatively quick. Like they kind of there's a line where she's like, "Do you believe in love at first sight?" Like, um, and I was like, "Oh, this like might be a bit corny," but like within like sentences of that that phrase, I was just like, "Oh, I'm in. Like, I buy
Hmm.
this." Like, and I don't know how you did it, but like there was such authenticity to that love as well. I was just like, "Wow, this is I really care about this couple. Like, I really I know from the present that he's going back to meet her, so I know like maybe things haven't worked out thus far, but I really hope things work out for these crazy kids because I'm in now." So what was it like writing a love story? Because previously you said you haven't really done romance, is that right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I've done like probably the closest I came was family dramas, that kind of take on things. Never necessarily romantic love, right? Um, and it's funny you say about the love story developing fast. That was one of the things that I was also worried about because when I sent it out to my primary readers, which a peek behind the curtain for people who may not be familiar with the writing process, is after you write your first draft and clean it up, I like to send it out to my primary readers, meaning I have a couple friends, my sister, maybe like three, four people just to get initial feedback on it. And while they are my friends and my family, they have no problem tearing me apart and telling me exactly what they think of my work, which I can't thank them
Really
enough
important.
for.
Yeah,
Hmm.
important. You don't want people to tell you it's great. Like,
Right. Like
I
I'm
think it's
sending it
great.
to
Tell
you.
me what's not good. Like,
Right. That's why I send it to you guys to tell me
yeah,
what's wrong with it. But one of the things she mentioned, and I had it written differently at this point, but she was like, the love story develops like way too fast. So I went back. I think initially it was it was pretty like I love you, oh, I love you too, like right off the rip. There wasn't like that question of do you or don't you believe in love at first sight or whatever. So that part was something I was a little concerned about, but I feel like going back and cleaning it up and really getting the green light from my editor, because my editor too, again, I pay her to tell
yeah.
me what's shitty. So getting the green light on her on everything really built that confidence. As far as writing the actual romance, I mean, I've liked rom-coms, here and there if I'm in the mood. It sounds funny because I know it's like a girl thing, but I'm like, sometimes I want something lighthearted.
It's so not though, and that was the problem that I had. I'm like, well, that's a girly film. But then, like, I think
Hmm.
the movie that broke the stigma for me was The Big Sick, like back in 2018. I
Mm.
was like, oh, this is awesome. Like,
Hmm.
I don't care that it's marketed as a rom com. Like, this is funny and it's like heartbreaking. It's beautiful. Like, all right, I'm the idiot here. Like, time to start looking a bit further. So yeah. So I like when you say like I like rom coms. I'm like, well, you just advanced quicker than I did. Like, you figured it out earlier.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about them. It's just like some days I want something, less serious. It's just a fun watch that, two people fall in love. Like, yeah, it's a great story. Okay. Well, maybe it's not a great story, but it's a story I can
There are
enjoy.
a couple. Crazy
Oh, there
Stupid Love's
definitely
another
are.
another really good one.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, I really didn't study any kind of like I'd never written romance, and I kind of looked over the tropes, and to me they just kind of came off so fucking corny, like oh, enemies to lovers, oh, forced proximity where they have to work together. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like two people like each other, they're gonna get close and they're gonna fall in love. Like that's real to me. That's more authentic to me. So a lot of When We Once Loved, the romance behind it is just based on relationships I've been in. Like
Mm.
I've had girlfriends where after hanging out, two, three times, they're like, "Oh my God, I think I'm falling in love with you," and I'm just like, "I know, I'm sexy boy Roy. That's par for the course." But yeah, I mean, sometimes it takes a while to develop. Sometimes you just dive in head first, and like I said, I didn't really look up anything specifically about the structure of romance. I just went on based on my personal experience, and I think that adds to that realism and that feel to it that this does feel like a real relationship, just drawing from my own experiences.
Yeah. No, it works, man. Like, I know, like, trying to tiptoe around spoilers, but there's a moment like where there's a train. They're waiting for a train. That's what I'll
Hmm.
say. That's what I'll say. And like in that whole chapter, I was just like my heart, like, I can't even talk about how I reacted because I guess I spoiled. But let's just say that like everything you want that chapter to do, like, hit me hard. I was like, I
Hmm.
won't spoil anything. I don't want to spoil it for people because it's great and they should go in as clean as possible. Um, but no, it's awesome. And I think one of the last things I said to you, I think it was the first. I can't remember the timeline now. But one thing that I really dug was it doesn't feel like it's an ape or a copy, but like there's so much like influence from like Stephen King in there. Like, and not that
Hmm.
you're like trying to copy him or like kind of do the same thing, but just it's not even storytelling. It's the style of writing where it's just so easy to read and so compelling where like you read like a seasoned author and you get a couple of books under your belt, so I'm not being like,
Hmm.
for a young whippersnapper who's on his first book, like, you've obviously put in the work, but it's just such an easy read. And I said to you, it's like it's unputdownable. Like, it's just
Hmm.
you can just like flick through it and just, yeah. So the craft itself is just so impressive to me. Like, it made me want to be a better writer. I'm like, ah, man, I got to really try harder.
Wow, thank you. And
There's not a
that's one.
question there. I just wanted to let you know. Like,
No, but I mean, there's a lot there. I mean, like we were saying before we started recording, I was never confident in my writing. And I believe one of the best ways to grow out as a person is to step out of your comfort zone. So
Mm,
I'm not comfortable with writing. Okay, let me write a book and put it
yeah.
out there. Like, and gotta be nuts, but okay. I mean, I'm not confident in my guitar playing, so let me record a video of me playing guitar and put it on the internet. Like, I don't know. I just feel like the more you can step out of your comfort zone, the more experiences you'll have, and the more you can grow from those.
Yeah.
As far as the Stephen King thing, like I've gotten that before. Somebody read my one work, April Awakening, and they're like, "Oh, this sounds like The Girl That Loved Tom Gordon." I'm like, "What's that?" They're like, "Oh, it's a Stephen King story." I'm like, "Oh,
Oh, that's a
what's it
yeah.
about?" And
If you haven't read it yet, like it's a great book, but like oh
mhm,
man, like one of the most stressful short stories I've read in my life. Like because like I have it, yeah, as I've mentioned, a couple, I have a daughter now, and I was just like, oh
mhm.
my god, this is like every parent's worst nightmare. Like
Hmm.
it's a stressful one, but
Now I'm
that
really interested to read it.
makes me want to read April Awakening even more now.
Oh, nice. You know what? It's exactly like it. Um, but it's funny that you mentioned Stephen King and people have because before I started writing, I hadn't read a Stephen, or before I started writing, I hadn't read a Stephen King book.
Okay,
Um,
interesting.
and then around the time I started writing some of my earlier stuff, I read The Shining, and then I read Pet Cemetery first, then I read The Shining, and then I hadn't read anything by him for a couple years. And then just this year, I was at the drugstore because I apparently ripped out half my eye taking a contact out. So I was there getting a
Oh, jeez.
prescription. Oh, that was a great experience. It wasn't painful at all. But while I'm at the drugstore, I randomly see Stephen King's The Dead Zone for like $7, 40th anniversary edition. I'm like, well, I'm waiting for my medication. I might as well just pick this up and start reading it.
Mm,
But that's one of the things I really like about his style. And one of my other favorite authors, Ernest Hemingway, is just that easy, relatable, very common way of writing. It makes the story flow so much better, in my opinion. I'm not using big words or crazy stuff like
yeah.
that. It's all pretty straightforward, and I think a lot of that comes from journalism and just writing conversationally, especially writing broadcast scripts. You want to write these scripts as close to how you would explain a story to somebody that you just met on the street.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see on the news that the power plant blew up? Yeah, 10 people were killed and the police are working to put it out. Like, you
Yeah.
know, so I try to bring, I guess, that journalistic style. I don't know if I try or not, but that journalistic style shows through in my writing because that's what I did for the better part of 10 years was write very conversationally.
Wow. It's yeah, like yeah, your style, like I really dig it, like because you say it like so effortlessly, but I look at it, I'm like, yeah, like why did you choose that word? Because that is the
Hmm.
exact right word that should have been used, and I wouldn't have thought of that.
Hmm.
Which is such such great constructive criticism as it's to a writer. Like, oh, thanks, I don't know what that means at all. Awesome, but like, it's just yeah, like the way you, it's yeah, it's not the dialogue. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of, but everything surround the dialogue. I'm like every sentence like belongs in this story. Like it just
Hmm.
works. I don't know like if that makes sense or not, but like
It
it just
does.
like it flows so well. I'm like this is right. And again, as I said, it made me want to be a better writer. I was like, this makes me
Hmm.
excited to put pen to paper. Like so, if people aren't out there aren't writers, they can at least get a good story out of it. If you are a writer, you'll be like, yeah, this it's like a nice little motivational tool as well. Like, yeah, I was very inspired reading. I think it's a great story.
Wow.
So
I never expected that. That's awesome to hear.
that was cool.
But that's cool what you say. Like every sentence belongs there. I know I come from a boxing background. I competed in the ring for several years. And one of the things we always said in there, if you were good at it, you didn't waste any movements.
Mm,
Meaning every punch counted, every block counted, every duck counted. So to hear that every sentence in this story or every word in this story makes sense and should be there kind of reminds me of that and lets me know that I wasn't rambling or just putting
mm.
nonsense down.
But that's always my attitude towards film, like especially long movies. I'm like, I don't care how long your movie is, but just use every minute. Like,
Hmm.
every minute needs to be, so like like there needs to be a reason for it. So it's like if you can justify every minute of that movie, like you've delivered a really great movie. And like obviously we're talking before, like I'll watch all sorts of stuff. Like it doesn't
Hmm.
have to be brilliant, and you can waste minutes, but if you use them well, I'm like, yeah, I'll sit there with my eyes closed for 4 hours if you can use
Hmm.
every minute well. So I think that's kind of where it comes, like my feedback, I don't know, comes from. It's like, yeah, use every minute, like every sentence belongs. Yeah, I was so thrilled to read it and love it because we're talking about this before we got. I'm like, sometimes you get given stuff and like maybe you don't like it or maybe it's not as good as you hope to want, and then you have
Hmm.
to like come on. But like I was just sitting there, I'm like, man, like this. I think this guy might be out of my league. Like to come on this podcast, like so no,
Maybe the
it was
book
a
is, but I'm certainly not.
it was a true joy, man. Like people have got to like it's on Amazon right now. You can just search for it, or you can search for Roy under R. Jacob Honeybrook, and yes, at 99 cents at the moment. So
Hmm. Yep, they
big
all
joy,
are.
man.
You can get my whole
99 cents.
collection for $5.
I'm so excited to dive into the rest of it. You sent me a couple. You were very generous
Hmm.
there, so I'm looking forward to reading the rest. But this book is, oh man, like, yeah, just such a fun ride, and a really satisfying conclusion. I won't obviously give anything away, but I didn't know what was going to happen. Like up until maybe like the last couple of sentences, I could like Royce, tell me what's going on. Like, so it's okay if I
Hmm.
get it now, but like there was no other way to end it. I was like, this is exactly
Hmm.
how I want this to end. So it's really satisfying as well. Because sometimes you read stuff, you're like, why did you do that? Like,
Yeah.
and it
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
that. It was just like just from start to finish, just an absolute joy.
Wow. Thank you so much. I can't say enough how cool that is to hear. And I will
I
say one more thing.
Go for it.
I am never writing time slips or time travel or any shit like that for a long time. Like
Yeah.
those transitions and trying to figure out, does this make sense? Will the reader follow this? I'm just like, I'm done for a while. We're going from point A to point Z from here on out.
We did a similar thing on episode 100 of the podcast. We did a
Hmm.
radio play, and I was just like, whenever like the question of like time travel or like interdimensional stuff comes up, someone's going to say the science checks out, and that's how we justify it. Like, and we're not gonna explain it. Like they did explain it in Back to the Future. Like it's a flux capacitor. And you're like, of course it is.
Hmm.
All right, moving on. So like, I just went the
It's a
lazy way.
movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie. Enjoy it. It works because it works.
I wanted to ask you, and we will get onto movies, but I'm just so fascinated because you're doing it, man. Like you're literally
Hmm.
going out there and doing it. Like you're like you. I loved what you said before about like I'm not good at this. I'm just going to put myself out there, get out of my comfort zone. It kind of ties into what we were talking about before, like before we started recording. Was like sometimes you just say do it. Like let's just do it. Like what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't happen. Okay, well then at least you
Hmm.
tried to do it. So just do it. So I love that. Um, so I'm just having a really fun time talking about writing. But what was the decision behind novellas, going short story? Like, is the eventual goal to build up to long form storytelling, or you just like, look, I'm just so busy, short form works for me? Like, what was the motivation there? What was the reason?
Um, so it's funny, whenever I first started writing, I had written two full-length novels, like
Hmm.
80,000 words each, 300 pages, whatever you want to call it. And they were fine. Um, I don't think they were terrible, but I tried to get the one an agent and got horribly rejected. Why wouldn't I? I'd never written fiction before. Like, obviously, my first book's not going to be this wild success.
Not everyone can
Um,
write Carrie the first time out. It's like,
Right.
yeah.
It would be nice. I would have loved it if I could have written Gary and things blew up, but it didn't. So I'm in Ohio. Um, but one thing I learned is I was so hung up on word counts and trying to put stuff in my stories to get them to be 80,000 words or whatever that I saw it really destroy the story that I wanted to tell.
Hmm.
So when I put out my first one, April Awakening, I think it's 10 or 15,000 words, like 50 pages or something. I'm just like, the story is going to be as long as it needs to be. If it is a 20-page story, cool. That can still be an amazing story. If it's, uh, I don't know, 100,000 word story, cool. As long as the story's good. So it's never really a conscious effort with me to keep them a certain length or to keep them short. It's more so, when do I think this story is complete? Or is this story have everything I wanted to say in it? And if it does, cool. Like, I think my shortest one is like 5,000 words. This is my longest one. It's about 20 some thousand words. So, I mean, there's maybe eventually, if I find the right story, we can get back to writing full-length novels. I will say this too about the shorter forms of storytelling. Um, One of my favorite TV series, I've said this many times on many podcasts, is Cowboy Bebop. Have you ever seen that?
I'm aware of it, but I'm not a big
Hmm.
anime guy, so I just never checked it out. So because once you open up that door, it's like, oh, you
Hmm.
thought there were a lot of movies? Like,
Oh
yeah, it's
God.
all like, and they all have 1,000 episodes, and
Oh yeah.
because I'm interested, but I know what I'm
Hmm.
like. So once that door opens, it's gonna be like the floodgates. So I'm like,
Well, it's
yeah,
funny you bring up that they're all 1,000 episodes because, I used to be big into anime in like the early 2000s. I haven't watched a new one in many years. But one thing I always enjoyed about Cowboy Bebop, not only is it an amazing story and the visuals are really cool and the characters are great, it's 26 episodes and it's done.
nice.
And coming, like you said, from a world where you have Dragon Ball Z that's like thousands of episodes or anything like that, I really enjoy that this show can say what it has to say, tell its story, get in, get out, 26 episodes and done.
Mm.
Um, Same with video games too. I know I've had friends who love RPGs that are like hundreds of hours. For me, I've always been like, give me a solid game that's 4 or 5 hours that is fun, that has a decent plot, and I'm happy with that more so than I would be sinking an entire, 6 months into something.
Oh man, like Red Dead Redemption 2 is
Oh,
it's like it's impressive,
masterpiece.
but by the time I got to the end of that game, I was playing it out of spite. I was just like, why are we doing like why is John Marston here? Like we don't need to like
Mhm.
we did a game on him. Like why is this game still going? Like
Right.
I get an hour a day when my daughter naps. Like I don't want to feed the pigs. Like just so like I busted out the old Super Nintendo and the N64 because I was like, you know what? How much I can achieve in an hour on one of those consoles?
Oh
I can
yeah.
I can get like almost the whole way through Donkey Kong in like an hour.
Hmm.
Like because I'm an experienced player. Like I got skills, but like you can play all these modern video games. I'm just like, oh my god, like we haven't even started. It's like the credits are rolling, and yeah, and that's what I understand. I'm not the target audience for those video games anymore. Like
Hmm.
I'm a father. I'm married. I have a full time job. I do a podcast. I watch a lot of movies. I'm not the audience for those games, but it would be nice if they could do like the abridged version. So I 100% understand. Well, just give me
Red
like
Dead
the best.
Redemption in 2 hours.
Yeah, to give me that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way with video games anymore. I think my biggest gripe is it feels like it's a full-time job anymore.
Mm,
You have the tutorial or the training levels that's taken an hour or two just to learn how to play the damn thing.
yeah.
And then once you do that, you have all these skill trees and points you got to spend. I'm just like, can I go back to like beating a level, getting better at it, and that's my skill points? Like, this is all
Yeah,
a bunch of
like
horse shit.
yeah, it's like a buddy of mine who's been on the show quite a few times. He runs his own game company. He like kind of built it from the ground up. So
Hmm.
one thing he's doing is like taking a very retro approach to modding games where you can do things like skill trees and stuff like that. But it's like if you just want to be this to be a platformer, like just do that. So you can kind of play
Hmm.
quicker or long form, which I really like. I don't know if I was allowed to
Yeah.
say that. I did sign an NDA, but I haven't said. I don't think like it could have changed. It could have changed. So
Hmm.
like we'll see. I'll just cut that out.
Who's that knocking on your door?
Yeah, like how did you get in Scotland? Done. Actually, he's near me at the moment. He's currently traveling in Europe to like from like to. Oh, actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that either. Okay, enough. Done. I won't
Next
talk about
topic.
this. Yeah. Oh my god. He's a good dude though. He let me write that game, which is quite nice. So I don't know how much of it's still in there, but
You wrote a game?
well, I say it wrote. Like he was like, "Can you come up with an outline?" And I gave him
Hmm.
like I gave him 80 pages, and I was like, "I don't know. I've never seen a game script before. I just made this
Yeah.
up like on my lunch breaks. Let me know what you think." And I never heard back from him. And then like a couple of about that, and then like last year we're talking about it, and I saw like a clip he put up, and I'm like, "Hey, I wrote that thing." He's, "Oh yeah, I'm using so much from that script." I was like, "Oh, cool, like nice." So I
That is
didn't
awesome.
write it because I'm sure they've kind of revamped and done some other stuff with it as well. But like there are some things in there that I kind of wrote that are now like there's like a reference to a name of villains. I'm like, I named those villains. Like that's cool. So that was kind
Wow.
of
That is.
yeah, that was a nice little
Dude,
moment.
see, now that's like motivation to me because that's something I think that would be so much fun to do, is do something like that for a video game or a TV show or something.
My script that I wrote for him very much was like I would write something in brackets. I don't know if this is possible. Like if we can't do it, we can try something else. There's a lot of like appendices like within the script. So I'm like, I don't know if this is possible.
Right.
Or
What's the
like
budget looking like here?
yeah, or like there's one thing where like there's the character like has like a shield, and I'm like, I know you're gonna hate this, but I think he should surf on the shield because then
Mm.
you can do all these things. And like he told me he read that, he goes, "Yeah, I did hate that." I'm like, "That's cool." Like I just like suggested, and then like I'm not even kidding you. Like 3 months ago, video shield surfing. I'm like,
No
"You are
shit.
yeah, it's in there."
I think
He,
that's what's so cool about the creative process too, is just bouncing ideas off of each other. Like, what do you think
well,
of this? Well, that's kind of shitty. Oh, okay. Well, what if we revamp it and do it this way? Oh my God, that's brilliant. Like, it's so much fun, just the whole process of it all. But I feel
I,
like that
I,
takes a certain amount of thick skin too, to hear like, no, your idea sucks.
well, I've known him since we were like in like since we were like six. So we've been friends a long time. Like we've known each other like 30 years. And one thing we used to do when we graduated school, once we both started driving, is we just like get in the car and just drive around wherever and just talk about what we're working on. So like I'd be like, "Oh, what are you working on?" Like he tell me like a game he was working on. And I'm like, "Oh, it'd be cool if you could do this, it'd be cool if you could do that." And like he knows that I'm gonna kitchen sink it. I'm just gonna say the dumbest stuff, but
Hmm.
sometimes the dumb stuff sticks.
Right?
And then I would tell him like stuff that I'm working on. Like, "Oh, it'd be cool if you did that." I'm like, "That's a terrible idea." And then I go back, "Oh,
Hmm.
actually, it's a really good idea." Like I just had to process that, and that's what we'll do. We just drive around for 2, 3 hours and just talk about it, and then like not asking for feedback, not giving notes, just like talking about it, and then like kind of like asking questions of each other, and then go away, and then you kind of end up finding like, "Oh, this is really beneficial." Actually, just talking
Hmm.
about it with someone who likes to talk about their stuff. But
Oh my God, yeah. I had something like that. I'm in your boat. I don't know how much I can say. I'll say I worked on something with another author, and it was so much fun because as we're working on the thing and writing it, like I'm working the night shift, I'm sending him ideas at like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning when I'm working on
mm,
it. Like, dude, what if we do this? What if we do that? And he'd be like,
mm,
this is awesome. Maybe let's not do that, but this one's great too. It's
yeah,
just such a cool back and forth to see how this thing came
yeah.
about from just our back and forth conversations about it.
No, it's I love that sort of stuff, man. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I'll just like, because, and it's not that I don't take it seriously, because I do. But like, my goal when we're doing this, I'm just gonna make him laugh. If I can just say something so dumb that it makes him laugh, like then
Hmm.
I've done my job. And then like, but then like that stuff will come. He's like, "Look, it was funny, but it's also kind of a good idea. So let's pop it in there and see what happens." So
Hmm.
um,
Oh, and I'll say, not to backtrack, but one thing too that's just popped into my head when you're talking about like, let's just fucking do this and let's put it out there, is I've known so many talented writers who are afraid to put their work out there because they're like, well, what if people trash it? What if nobody likes it? I'm like, then do another one. Like,
mm,
at least you can say you put something out there. And I think that's really my big motivator, is saying that I at least tried and I went out swinging. Like, I didn't just sit back and I was a scared, boring shell, just,
yeah,
afraid to try anything.
yeah, no, nice one. Awesome,
Random,
man.
I know.
We got we got so. I was looking at the clock. I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like we've been talking for like an hour and a half, like longer because we were talking before the recording.
That's
Um,
right, yeah.
look, I'll say this, and then and we'll definitely move. But like the story is, it's just such a joy to read. I said it a few times already. Like it's so well written. It's just it moves quickly. Like even if you're not a big reader, like it's not super long. It took me a few days to get through because I was I've been working nights and stuff like that. But like
Mhm.
it moves quickly, and if it wasn't for the night shifts, I would have just plowed through it in one day. Like it's the characters are great. Like you care about like everything going on there. It was yeah, it's my favorite thing I've read in a long time. So it was just such
Wow.
an honor to read it. So we'll definitely plug it at the end of the episode again. But if you haven't checked it out, if you haven't bought it yet, like what are you doing? Hit pause, go to Amazon, pick up the book, 99 cents. Like to get that much joy for 99 cents, like how can you not do that? Like go pick up the book because it's great. I loved it.
And 99 cents is great too, because if you love it, you're like, holy shit, this is only 99 cents for this. And if you hate it, it's like, well, you only spent 99 cents. Like, yeah.
I love that as well. And again, like you don't have to go into the financials. I imagine that the reason you sell at 99 cents is the same reason why I sell my merch with the smallest margin possible, and that's just I just want to get it out there. Like I
Mhm.
don't get yeah, like
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
I'm very aware that in the grand scheme of things, I'm just getting started out. Nobody really knows my work right now. So I always say if I could put this shit out there for free, I'd put it out there for free. Like,
mm,
I'm jealous of YouTubers. All they're trying to do is get you to click and watch their video. Like,
mm,
I have to get somebody to buy it, then I have to get somebody to read it, which is its own discussion.
mm,
So yeah, I mean, it's not anything about the money or that right now. I'm just trying to put my stuff out there. I said when I started doing this, I don't think I'll ever, make $1 million, $1 billion selling my stories online or whatever. Really, I look at it as um, more of building opportunities for myself.
Yeah.
The more I write and the more I put out there, and I've seen it work already with podcasts, with music and friends I've made. The more I put out there, the more people are like, "Oh man, this was really cool. We really like this story. We really like this post. We want to, I have a friend out in California. He's like, dude, I want to feature Death Growls on my song. Like the Midnight Terrors guys are like, we want to bring you on as a co-host. So
Mm.
just doing something and putting yourself out there is just opened me up to, so many opportunities. If you had told me I'd be a co-host on a podcast and I'd be putting out books and I'd be going on other podcasts to promote them
Mm.
and I'd have my name in the papers for writing books. If you told me that like 3 years ago, I'd been like, dude, you're out of your
Yeah.
mind. That's not gonna happen. I'm just some schlub.
And I think that's the real lesson. First of all, like you're very humble. Like you should be making money off this stuff. Like at least look, I haven't read the other books, so maybe it shouldn't be. But for this book, definitely you should be
Maybe I
making
shouldn't
money.
be.
There you go, a little cheeky little jab. I'm sure, like I'll love them as well, like because this book, like, is phenomenal. But like you should be earning off it, so it's just about building that awareness. But it comes back to that the moral of what you've been saying since minute one, which is just put yourself out there. Like it's quoted to death, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Like swing
Hmm.
for the fences and you might hit them. Like just go for it. Like 3 years ago, like when I started the podcast, it was just like I just want to talk about movies again. I haven't like had anyone talk about movies for so long. I'm just gonna start a podcast. I guess I'll interview my wife. I guess I'll interview like a couple of my friends and maybe my parents. And if I run out of guests after that and the show's done in 6 episodes, then hey, at least I gave it a go. I
Hmm.
never thought. I honestly thought it was done by episode 10. I was like, this. I'll run out of things to say. To be over 100 episodes now, to same thing, like to go on like to guest star on like American podcasts and
Hmm.
like get people follow me and like I got to interview filmmakers and now I get to interview you.
Yeah.
Like that's so cool. Like I said before, like it's classy, man. We're doing books. We're doing.
Right.
We can't watch them. We've got to read them. The story. We got to be an active participant in these stories. Like to do all this sort of stuff. Like I never thought that would have happened. So like it just comes down to putting yourself out there. And like every year, like I just set a goal. Like year one was like just do it, get it started, and then year two was like, all right, you've met some people, start crossing over, try and put yourself on other shows. And then this year I was like, I'm just gonna ask everyone to come on the
Hmm.
podcast. Like just do it. Like and then like opportunities sprung. It was just like cool. Like I'm doing more, and like I'm not even at home. I don't have all my equipment. Like I'm doing more now, like overseas, than I was doing 2 years ago. Like it's insane. But the moral is just pull that trigger. I mean, look, if you're holding a gun, please don't pull that trigger. But if you're trying to,
But you're
creatively
at the
think anything,
range.
pull that trigger.
Yeah.
In parentheses, unless you're a psychopath.
Metaphorically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's funny too because I was the same way as you when I started putting this stuff out there. I'm like, maybe five people will read this stuff. Maybe my mom will read it. Maybe a couple of my friends will read it, and they'll be like, "Wow, you have some talent. That's cool." I'm like, "Cool. That would be whatever." And then, I read stuff online about stats of your typical independent author, like, what is it, 90% don't sell 10 books, like 98% don't sell more than 100. So to look at my numbers and see I've sold hundreds of books and like I can say as an independent author, like while I'm not, money's whatever, but while I'm not, rolling in it, it's like, man, I've done something that 90%, 95% of people who do this thing don't do. Like it can
Mm.
only keep moving up from here. And it's just wild when I see numbers like that. Cause I'm like, really? Like, what?
That's awesome. That's really cool. And look, if it doesn't, if you plateau or just stop now, you still did more than most. It's just like, hey,
Oh my God, yeah,
yeah,
that's my exact mentality. I'm like,
yeah,
maybe this is the pinnacle and this is as far as I get. But one, I love doing it. I love doing the writing. I love promoting it and doing the podcast and the social media thing and making friends. And two, at least I can say I went out swinging. Like so many
yeah.
people just bitch and bitch and bitch about their lives and I never tried this and I never got to do that and wah wah wah. It's like, well, at least I can say on my deathbed when I'm 40 that that I can look back and I can say, God damn, I took this shit and I made it my own and I tried to do something.
100%. And like on top of that. And again, people can be like, "Oh my God, like, get married already," but like you did all that, and it's good. Like
Hmm.
some people take the swings, and you're like, "Well, you took the swing, and that's the important thing. Good job." But like this is like you did it, and like also like it's got content, like it's good, like it's enjoyable, like it's passionate. It's like it does what it sets out to do, and not everyone can say that.
Right.
We talked about The Room before. Like that movie is not what he intended it to be, no matter how much he says it is. But like it brings me joy. But like you're like I set out to write this story, and it not only delivers, but like it's executed. Like again, like not a every sentence belongs. Like
Hmm.
can't fault it. I'm just like this is great. Like I can't wait to read it again and see what I missed. Like it's just yeah. So yeah, just just a big old love fest here.
Oh, that's how it is every night on Midnight Terrors, man. Just a big old
Oh,
orgy.
I've heard. Um, nice one, man. No, congratulations. It's a great book, and you go out and read it, guys. Like 99 cents. You waste that on the stupidest stuff. Go spend 99 cents on this book and enjoy it. It's worth it. Um, awesome, man. Should we talk about some movies? Should we get into the visual medium?
That's why we're here. Well, you were a teenage film snob, and I'm a guy who loves movies, so it sounds like we got a
Well,
good thing going.
it's a good title. How accurate is it? Well, just don't let the truth get in the way of a good story,
Hmm.
as they say.
Hey, my name's
Before
not Honeybrook, but we go with it.
I learned that when you emailed me, I'm like, oh my goodness, like I just assumed it was like what a great pen name.
Nope, got
Um,
that off a sign. Got that off a road sign.
also, that's awesome. I didn't know the story. I was like, why would he lie? He writes fiction.
Right.
Um, before we jump into your list,
My whole
and
career's a lie. Why
um,
stop now?
that's awesome. I've seen your list. I've forgotten it, which is good because I mean I'll be surprised again when you go through it with me. Before we jump into it, you like movies. I've heard you say on Midnight Terrors that you don't watch a lot of movies, but I also don't know whether you're kidding or not. So, in terms of your history with film, like, have you always been a movie fan? Like, were you a video store kid? Like, where does that begin? Is it a love affair, or is it more just like, hey, I got nothing to watch like a video on? What's that journey like for you?
It's definitely more of a love affair for sure. Um, Man, I remember my dad, like he we weren't like rich or anything like that growing up. I mean, we had single parent income. He was a teacher. My mom stayed home to raise us, so
Sure.
we didn't have like luxuries or anything like that. But my dad always had HBO. And when I was little growing up, if you've ever seen the meme that was like Netflix in the 90s and it's just like a bunch of labeled blank VHSs, like bootleg movies,
Yep.
that was our living room, just like two giant bookcases filled with bootleg HBO movies.
Awesome.
Um, so growing up, it was so cool. We would just grab one off the shelf like every day or every night and pop it in. Like some of the big ones I remember were Days of Thunder, Maximum Overdrive, Ninja Turtles. Um,
Yes.
just anything like that. Probably way too young to be watching Days of Thunder and Maximum Overdrive, but I thought they kicked so much ass.
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, back around that same time when I was way too young, just watching the horror movies with my dad and brother. My brother is a lifelong Stephen King fan, so horror was always something that was around in our house. So watching the early Halloween movies and the Friday the 13th movies when I'm like 5 and just sitting there progressively getting more and more traumatized by the shit of people just getting slaughtered. Like, and it was funny too because you could just watch Jason hack his way through an entire camp and everything's cool, but as soon as there was a pair of tits on screen, my mom would come down and be like, "Roy, time to go upstairs." I'm like, "How does she know?"
It's so funny because my experience was the direct opposite. Like my dad was very Puritan's too strong a word, but like if there's violence, if there's cursing, like that's it, it comes off. But like
Hmm.
nudity, especially female nudity, is like, well, growing boys got to see them sometime. Like it
Really?
was so like I didn't see like Terminator till like I was in my 20s. Like I was just
Wow.
like it was such a strict ruling. Like there was no like so like all those kind of European sounding action stars like Van Damme, Schwarzenegger,
Hmm.
Stallone, never in my house. So I didn't see them till like I was
Man.
way older. So Um, and by the time I got to see them, I was in such like a snobby state of mind as well. I was like, well, they're not cinema anyway, so you
Right.
know.
Well,
So, but like, yeah,
isn't
nudity
that
was fun.
funny? Isn't that funny too? Like those just crazy over the top violent R-rated movies were all marketed towards kids when we were growing up. Like
Mm.
I remember having Terminator action figures and Rambo was big. It's like
There was a
these are R
RoboCop action film. I had a RoboCop toy.
RoboCop. Yeah, we
I'd
did
never
too.
seen RoboCop. I got a RoboCop toy, and I was like, I've never seen this movie. Is it good? Turns out, yes, it's amazing.
Hmm.
But didn't see it till I was in my until I was like 27. Like it's just, um,
Yeah, so I
yeah.
mean, just being young and having that, I guess you would say, access to all these different movies was really cool. And then, yeah, with the video stores, a lot of times in high school, me and my buddies would rent like cheesy horror movies from there to laugh at for the night. Um, but like on a more serious side, I've always loved a lot of the crime movies. So Tarantino,
Mhm.
easily my favorite. I love everything that guy puts out. I know on my list I have Departed, so anything like Scorsese wise, and just discovering it from that sense. I always joke that the Marvel movies have been pretty much the only movies that have been put out in the past 10 or so years. And those aren't for me. Like, I really don't care about those.
Mhm.
So I found myself having to kind of like, I really don't watch, aside from like having to do them for podcasts, I don't watch a lot of movies post like 2010. I
Okay,
find
interesting.
myself, yeah, like anything from, man, I love film noir too, like that shit from the
Mm,
40s and 50s. So
yeah.
anything from like that era to 2010, like I'll pretty much, I don't know, it depends. Like I love comedies. I don't think we've had a half decent comedy in many years. But I
Trying to,
love,
I've heard that argument as well. I think it was the guys on Movie Bonus was saying we haven't had a good one since the end of the Apatow era, which is like 2013.
hmm,
But I think we've had a couple of good ones. But I think the problem was COVID. Like studios are
hmm,
too scared to put out comedies. They're too scared to put out low budget kind of like dramas and stuff like that because they're
hmm,
like, well, if it's not Spider-Man, they're not going to go. So it's
yeah,
got to be like, if it's not going to earn $1 billion, people are not going to leave their house to come like and sit in the theaters. It's like just spend less money on the movie, and
yeah.
then yeah, like
Two things with that. I did think of one that's
yeah,
pretty funny that I enjoyed was I think it's called it's not No Strings Attached. It's the one where the family hires a tutor for this rich kid, and she's like this
yes,
bartender, or
that
not a tutor, like tries to show him life and stuff.
it
That
was
one was pretty
The
good.
Jennifer Lawrence one from last
Yes,
year.
dude, I
That one was
love
great.
that movie. Yeah, so that was
So
a good
funny.
comedy.
Yeah, I can't
Um,
remember what it's called either, but I've got it. I just can't remember what it's called. No Hard
mhm.
Feelings, I think it's
Yes,
called.
that's what it
Yep.
is. Yeah, that was a good one. And what you said too about the movie studios not wanting to, not put out something that won't be a blockbuster. I remember something that stuck with me. I think it was Rob Zombie when he was on Joe Rogan.
Hmm.
And I'm sure you're familiar with House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
He was like, these were all like mid-budget movies, and you would never be able to get these made by a major studio anymore because they either want to spend nothing on a movie, like literally nothing, or they wanted to spend millions and billions of dollars and have this thing be a global success.
Yeah.
So he was like, I could never make Devil's Rejects right now, and I'm just like, man, that really sucks. Like I know there's independent studios out there, like A24 that puts out a lot of the mid-budget
Doing some
stuff.
great work. Blumhouse, like, have had some
Yeah.
hits and misses lately, but like, and when I say misses, like, I've still enjoyed them, but the general
Hmm.
public hasn't. But like, their number one rule was like, no budget can exceed $5 million, and I think they've kind of gone back on that rule a little bit. But when they
Now
first
that they have
started, it
some
was like
success.
they were like the highest budget would be $5 million. Like they won't go
Hmm.
above that. It's like you shouldn't like $5 million will get you a lot. Like I mentioned before, I love Batman. Why are you spending $100 million on a Batman movie? It's a guy in a
Hmm.
suit. Like he doesn't have powers. He doesn't fly. Like why is
Right.
do you know what I mean? Like you can just do like a cool noir detective story, and they kind of did that with the new one, which I quite liked. But again, like you can see the money on the screen. Like you could have done that
Mm.
even cheaper. It's his second year out. Why is he wearing like expensive armor? Just like put a
Mhm.
Adam Wester. Just do it. Like it'll be fine.
Well, that's one of the things I think I enjoyed so much about The Dark Knight was probably my favorite Batman movie. Like I love the ones from the 90s, but man, The Dark Knight, I always describe it like this. It's like if Batman was just a normal detective,
Yep.
it could still be the same movie and still be incredible because it was so heavy on that crime element to it. It almost reminded me of something like The Departed, but with Batman.
Yeah. Someone told me, I heard, I can't remember who it was. Maybe they didn't tell me, I heard on a podcast, but someone said this a few years ago and it like really changed my perspective. And they're like, watch Seven again. Seven is the perfect
Hmm.
Batman film. Morgan Freeman's Batman, Brad Pitt is Robin. He's the
Hmm.
one making all the mistakes and blundering his way through, and like Batman's one just like just slow down, chill out. And I watched it out from like, God, it is a Batman movie. Like it is. It's just he's this seasoned detective who knows, every step to take and what to avoid. And Brad Pitt's Robining his way through the movie. I'm like, wow,
Hmm.
fascinating take.
Yeah, that's
Um,
like what I did with The Dark Knight. I'm just like, well, every time you see Batman, just picture like some hard-boiled detective. And I'm like,
yeah.
damn, that still pretty much works. Like, this is good.
There's definitely some good stuff post 2010, which hopefully you get around to seeing. Like you don't need to watch as many movies as I do, which is
Well,
insane to me.
we did. My brother and I used to work second and third shift. So Fridays when we would be off for the weekend, we would go catch the matinees in like 2013 and 2014.
Nice.
And there was some good stuff here and there, but one that really pissed me off is the Godzilla movie from around there with Bryan Cranston.
I, why can't, and I'm not trying to criticize an entire country, but why can't America make a Godzilla film?
Mm, mm.
Japan made one earlier this year, late last year, for like a tenth of the budget, and it's one of the best movies I've seen in my entire life.
Was that Godzilla Zero or whatever?
Yeah, minus zero. It's fantastic, and they even put a human story in there, and I cared about it. And you never care
Yeah.
about the human story.
I don't. It doesn't seem like that difficult of a concept. Like we made King Kong, same idea. It just
I loved Skull Island. I thought that was a great King Kong film. I'm like, just do. Obviously, you don't want to be so jokey, but like, just do what you did there. Like, why are
right.
kids? I love being a podcaster, but a podcaster has no business saving the world. Like, what's he doing out there?
Well, you just haven't had the opportunity yet. One day we're gonna
That's
need
true.
you.
Yeah. Good to know. I'll file that away.
When the
Um,
nukes are launching, I'm gonna call the president and be like, "Yo, I know a guy."
yeah. I'm like, have you seen Independence Day? Have you seen? Have you seen Sum of All Fears? It's just Sum of All Fears. Let's do it. Like, ironically, I haven't seen it, but I'll get there. Have you seen it, Mr. President? Because I haven't, but it feels like it'd be really appropriate right now. Yeah.
I have a guy who might be in Scotland.
Um, I lost my train of thought. We were talking about movies, but I get it. I totally get it. Like, and the budget thing is crazy. I understand. I appreciate the not digging the superhero thing. Like me, I'm a big shill for him. I wish I got paid for him, but I love
Mhm.
most of stuff. But like, especially now, like I can't imagine having never seen one of those movies and being like, all right, I'll get started. It's just like it's so
You got like 15 years of work to do,
like
man.
it's like, and I didn't get it until I saw the Han Solo movie they made
Oh
a
yeah,
couple of years ago,
Solo.
which I thought was fine. I haven't seen it since theaters, but I was sitting there at one point, and I won't spoil it, but a character returns, and I was like, didn't he get killed in like a massive Star Wars film? Like we all saw that
Hmm.
character get killed, and then someone told me like, oh yeah, that character comes back in the shows. I was like, oh, now I know what it's like to be someone who doesn't like the Marvel movies and trying to get
Mm.
into it. It's just like it's so dependent on like the next film. I'm like, I can see why people are getting annoyed by this now.
Hmm.
Like, fair enough. Like me, I love them. They're for me, but they're not for everyone. I totally get it.
Sure. I
Um,
like more of the superhero movies, and I touched on this with The Dark Knight, that are very down to earth. Like
yeah.
one of my favorite movies, I say recently, it's probably been 6 or 7 years now, was Joker.
Hmm.
Oh my God, I probably watched that like 10 times. One,
Yeah.
because it's just a great movie, but two, it's so fascinating trying to pick apart what was in his mind and what was really happening and what maybe
Yeah.
never happened. Like, it's just such an interesting take on that villain.
Well, there's that moment as well. Like, there's that reveal, like when he's in her house,
Oh
and
yeah.
and we should have seen it coming. Like, he's an unreliable narrator. Like, he's obviously like got. And the minute it happened, like my jaw hit the floor, and I was like, because I fall for everything. Like, it doesn't matter how many movies I watch, I just get sucked in twists, or like I
Hmm.
very rarely pick twists. I'm always surprised, and I'm sitting there I'm like, I should have seen this coming, but like, what a great move! And like, clearly, like they borrowed a lot from Scorsese and stuff as well. But I was just like, yeah, I agree. Like, what a great. I know some people didn't like it because they're like, it's just Taxi Driver and kind of the Joker, but not really. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, in a world of infinite Jokers, why can't this one be valid? It's great. So yeah,
Right. And I mean it's 2024. Nothing is going to be wholly original. Like
yeah,
you could probably
yeah,
connect any movie to a previous movie or a previous book.
yeah,
And like
absolutely.
that never really bothered me. It was like Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. I'm like, yeah, maybe it is, but it took that and made it its own thing and became its own iconic movie. Like it
Mm.
seems like some of it's died down. Like I find myself not thinking about it as often, but dude, somebody brings up Joker, I'm all on board.
You're making me want to watch Joker again. I'm like,
You
oh
want to watch it
damn.
together tonight? We can
Uh,
zoom
I don't have it. I don't have it with me.
it.
I don't have my Blu-ray player. But I totally would. Um, nice one. Now, one thing I like to talk about with the kind of the history of movies and the kind of your relationship with movies is the idea of like the gift of cinema. And like it sounds a bit wanky, but basically what I mean is like, is there like a film in your life, like a moment in your life where someone was like, "Hey, like you should check this out. I think you'll really dig it," and then it. I don't want to be so bold to say it changed your life, but it was kind of like, "Oh my God, like this recommendation like changed so much for me." Because I know for me, it was my dad giving me Blues Brothers. The idea is like he's like, I know you're five. I know you don't know what blues is, but I just feel like if you watch this, you'll get it. And like it just set the tone for everything. And it happened
Hmm.
a couple of times. The second time I was 17 years old, I was kind of like, a little bit kind of have an identity crisis, didn't really know who I was. And someone I was at school with just like, I can't explain it. I just feel like you're gonna dig this flick. You should watch it. And it was Clerks, and that set the
Mm.
tone for everything for the next up until today.
Hmm.
So like, is there, it doesn't have to be as enormous and life changing as for me, but do you have like that moment? Do you have that film where you're just like, oh my God, like this person
Hmm.
got me? Because it's such a personal gift, I think, where someone's like,
Yeah.
I can't explain it, but you're gonna dig it. Like I know you. This is gonna rock your world, and I think it's such a cool gift. So do you have that?
Yeah, I think I do. And it's funny you bring up the clerk story because I was just listening to your episode when you talked about that.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember that. I'm like, oh, he's just hearing the same story twice now. So,
no, I love it. It's great. Boy, that sounds manufactured. No, that's a really cool story because that's a type of movie like, not everyone's gonna understand, not everyone's gonna like. Like it's barely a movie. It's guys hanging out in a where do they hang out? Like a video store or 7-Eleven or
convenience store at a
something?
video store. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Um, I would say for me, it was probably when my dad introduced me to the Star Wars movies as a
Nice.
child. That was really something that just took me by storm and just made my imagination run wild. Like,
Yeah.
I think what the special editions came out in '97 to celebrate the 20th anniversary or whatever.
Yeah, was
And
that was like I don't know if it was like that in the States, but for us it was like a Darth Vader VHS box set. Like, and if you've
I
never seen
just saw
a
that we were in an antique shop, and yeah, it's like the gold box with the Darth Vader head.
VHS
And
box set like was unheard of. You'd never see anything like it. It's so
I never
strange.
had, yeah. Man, after seeing those, I think he had the VHSs bootlegged, of course.
Mm.
Seeing those and just like that was the first time I could call myself really a fan of
Mm.
something like that. Like I'd always enjoyed wrestling and whatever, but to see these movies that are so just fantastical as, 97 is like an 8 or 9 year old and just seeing the different characters and the settings and it just really took me away to a different place. And I think that's what really jump started my love of storytelling and movies and just any kind of fiction like this where, you can take somebody, away from their life and put them in a different scenario and get them so engrossed in a movie. Like after that, it was all Darth Vader. Like Darth Vader's my boy.
Yeah.
Why do you
Nice.
think I still wear all black every day? Like that's the
Yeah.
Darth Vader look. Yeah, I got so many of the books in our library would have these picture books of like the individual movies. So there'd be like the New Hope and there'd be all these pictures and behind the scenes stuff and just
Nice.
Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars for a solid couple of years until I turned into a total anime nerd before that was cool.
Nice. That's awesome. Um, yeah, that's one of those flicks. Like, it's obviously like that opened a world of creativity for so many people. Like Star Wars. And it's always dads. Like, and
It is, isn't
but
it?
with the exception, I'm trying to think because my daughter is 3. She's about to turn 4, and she's seen A New Hope.
Hmm.
And I think she might have seen, oh, which I think we started showing her Empire recently as well. No, I think we showed a return. I think Empire's a bit too much for 3-year-olds.
Return of the Jedi, I know I always loved that as a kid
Yeah,
because of Jabba's palace and all the different characters and the aliens.
yeah. Well, she loves Grogu because like obviously he's everywhere. So she's like she sees him on YouTube and in toy stores. So she's like I want to see the
Is that the
green
Yoda
alien,
thing?
the baby Yoda from
Yeah,
Mandalorian.
okay.
So she loves him. And then like when we showed her Star Wars, she's like, "Oh, I don't like old man baby Yoda." And we're like, "Old man baby Yoda, this is Yoda, man." But I think if I think about it, I think she brought it upon herself. I think she saw an image of C-3PO on like we did this thing like our grocery stores did this weird promotion like last year where if you bought a certain amount of groceries, you got like collectible cards, and they did all the Disney
Hmm.
stuff. And she saw C-3PO, and she's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "Oh, this is from Star Wars." She's like, "Is it a movie?" I'm like, "It is. You want to watch it?" She's like, "Yeah." So like, I did like, it's cool like watching her create her own fandom. Like, we're not pushing anything on her. She's just like, "What is this? Can I watch it?"
Yeah.
And we're like, "Yes, you can." Like, she's also found like the House of a Thousand Corpses Blu-ray, and she's like, "I don't know if I like this face." And I'm like, "Yeah, when you're 12, maybe we can do House of a Thousand
Right, down the
Corpses, but
road.
three's a little bit." She saw like my Terrifier 2 Blu-ray. And she's like, "I don't like that clown." I was like, "No one does. Don't worry." Like it's cool.
She might be a
Uh,
little too young for the House of a Thousand Corpses merman.
oh man, she loves mermaids. So don't tell her. She's like, "There's a mermaid in this." And I was like, "Oh, kind of." Like,
You could say that.
oh man, that's too funny. Um, let's jump into your list. So you got five. I can't remember. I
Oh
remember
yeah,
a couple of them, but I can't remember the order. So that's totally fine. I like to go in spoiler free, so that's all good. So
sure.
we'll just go through your list. Yeah, like one by one, we'll talk about a bit, and then any honorable mentions we can talk about as well. But I'm excited because I remember like quite a bit that was on your list. So what's number five? Where do we start?
Oh, starting at the bottom. Got it.
Yeah, let's work. Let's build to a crescendo. Uh,
Gotcha. So,
I do use big words in my storytelling, so sorry.
crescendo. Watch out. So, being a horror author, you might expect us to be five horror movies, but it's not.
It
So,
was cool seeing so much variety. I was like, yeah, awesome.
mhm. So, number five and four are pretty similar, but number five, Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai.
I have seen this movie exactly one time.
Hmm.
And it was last year actually. It was about 400 movies ago. So you might have to take me to some of the deeper cuts, but what a great flick. And
Hmm.
such an unexpected move from him. Like just do something so different to what he was doing. What is it about the flick you love? Like tell me about it.
Yeah, so I've always just been fascinated with Japanese history and the samurai and their code and their way of life and just how fearless they always were. So I remember, do you remember the IFC channel? I don't know if you got that.
We didn't get. I know the distribution company IFC, but no, in
Hmm.
Australia we had like three channels. Like I think we have
It
10
was
now. No, we got a few, but
wow.
no, like we don't get HBO, we don't get Stars, we don't get
Oh my God.
any of that stuff. Like we get like yeah, again, number I think I don't know if I said it on the mic, but there's a reason why Australia is responsible for most of the piracy in the world. It's
Hmm.
because we get nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, like no HBO, none of that stuff. Like no Showtime. Yeah, yeah.
So so on the IFC channel, which did in fact exist, maybe not for you, but they would it was Saturday mornings at like 6 or 7 in the morning. They would always show these old Kurosawa samurai movies,
Nice.
and I always loved getting up early to catch what movie they're going to show that day. And being a teenager, I probably couldn't tell you any of the titles, but I remember there were movies based on like Miyamoto Musashi, who was this legendary samurai who used two swords, and just such cool stuff like that. So always enjoying samurai movies. When I saw that there was going to be a widespread American release of a samurai movie, I'm like, oh my God, I would love to see this. Um, so obviously that was right up my alley, and Tom Cruise always great. But one thing I like about this one is how it takes place during the Meiji Restoration of Japan. So basically, the samurai on their way out, and the whole Western government way of life is on its way in. And it's these two clashing cultures. You have the samurai over here who want the traditional way of life, and you have the westernized Japanese politicians and military who want this way of life. And it's just such a fascinating time period in history. So to see that play out on the big screen was just so cool. Like, as a guy who's into history and into samurai, like to see all this and to be able to see it in a theater was just mind blowing to me, when I was a young teenager at that time. And then just like the whole um, respect and honor that Tom Cruise
Mm.
and the main samurai develop for each other through like, Tom Cruise is recovering and the samurai can tell he's like great warrior, and just seeing that story play out, and
Mm.
just some of the battle scenes, like whenever I'm up early on a Saturday and it's kind of misty, and just I always think back to that scene where they first go to battle the samurai and they ride out of the
Yeah.
mists and they're in their armor and their demon
Yeah.
masks. And I just, oh, there's so many good parts about that movie, but oh my God, just always one of my favorites.
Nice one. Yeah. Um. Oh yeah. As I said, I'm a bit foggy on the details, but I do remember that scene. Like,
Hmm.
that's one thing I've clearly not as fascinated with samurai as you. Like, I was just your answer. I was like, oh my god! Like I said, it was gonna get classy. Like this guy's quoting history at me. It sounded like it's maybe the most intelligent answer we've ever had on the show.
Oh my God, I've
Um.
never been accused of that. I gotta tone it down.
But yeah, like
I
the
mean, I
fact that
like Japan and them samurai sure were something.
but I've always been fascinated by like that as well. I just like the visual style, like the idea of like, yeah, let's make our masks monsters. Like let's,
Yeah.
like because that's so not the Western way of thinking. If you look at again, like my history is sketchy, but
Mhm.
like I'm not great with it. But like if you look at the history of military uniforms in the West and stuff like that, it's so like bound by tradition, and like we must present ourselves well for war. Almost like it's like we need to have a press, Preston
Very
Iron and all
formal.
that sort of. Yeah, it's like we're gonna we're attending a black tie event, but
Hmm.
then they're like let's just like let's rattle chains and have monster masks. It's like it's so it's just cool, man. Like that's
It
why,
is.
that's why things like the Ninja Turtles, and I'm sure the Japanese historians are like, how dare you? But like, that's why things like the Ninja Turtles, like that's why we love ninjas, because it's like
Hmm.
it's so easy to pick up a gun. But they're like, no, we're gonna learn the art of the sword. Like, that's why I love Kill Bill. Like, and it
Yeah.
took, a white guy to make a samurai movie for me to be like, oh yeah, that's cool. But like, but he does it so well, and like kind of honors like the movies that came before, and it's just there is so much to the culture. We just like this is why are we so boring? Like why didn't we do the comics like that?
That's true. Yeah, I mean, that's part of what you were saying about the different takes on war, and for Western civilizations up until World War One, it was a very formal, oh, let's put on our best uniforms and go out and stand in a line. Whereas in Japan, it was more a thing you did to defend your home,
Mm,
and you did it for honor. And kind of similar in the same sense that they looked at it as an adventure, but to me, I mean, I'm not an expert on what I'm talking about right now, but it seems like the samurai are more honor and code driven when it came to battle,
mm,
and almost independently, like you would go to battle for your family, and like you would wear the name on the banner that they would wear. Whereas in the Western side, you're just going into an army and you're kind of one unit. Um, and I think too, like Japanese history is just so cool. Like I
mm,
was reading a nonfiction book on the samurai like a couple months ago, and keep in mind this is nonfiction. Um, and the history from like the 800s and 900s, it was like, yeah, this warlord, he went around, he killed a river god today, and then the next day he killed a mountain god, and then he fought this demon. I'm like, wait, this is just like another day in Japanese history? Like, this is wild over there. What are we missing?
yeah. I and it's like I like that you bring up the honor of it all, and like the idea that like the way they approach it, because there's that moment, and I'm trying to like there's a moment like after Tom Cruise has been brought back to the camp, and like he's injured and stuff like that, and someone says like I don't think it's Ken Watanabe, I think it's another soldier. He's like, we should just kill him, and
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, like you should kill. Like why aren't they? And like it was just like my westernized mind was like, yeah, we should be like, why aren't we killing him? And it's like they're just like, no, the battle's over. Like he's injured. We need to let him heal and stuff like that. It's just such a foreign concept, like literally like a foreign
Hmm.
concept to like the way we've witnessed war and like battle and stuff like that. But they're like, no, we won. We don't need to then go and kill him. But it was such a yeah. It
And
perplexed
just
me
that,
when I watched it. Yeah.
mhm. And just the whole concept of death, too. Like, just I think it comes through great in The Last Samurai, but also just delving more into the history of it all. Like they were really fearless. Like they did
Mm,
not care. Like they would lose a battle and be like, okay, well, now we have to kill ourselves because that's what the honor code tells us to do. So, and they like welcomed it almost like it was a badge of
yeah.
honor. So, I mean, it's just so different than what we're used to, and just
Mm,
seeing that played out through, because I believe there is a scene like that in The Last Samurai where
yeah,
the
yeah.
one Western military leader gets captured by the samurai, and you see him doing seppuku, where he cuts his stomach open, then the other guy cuts his head off. Like,
Mm.
sounds crazy to Westerners, but in Japan, that's just like hundreds of years of historic tradition.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was I watched. And it might have been Last Samurai, but there's like a quote, and they're like, "The best gift a warrior can hope for is like an honorable death."
Hmm.
Whereas we're all like, "Just run from it, please! Like, don't kill me! Like, we're just run from the
Right.
death." The best gift in life is to keep living. Um,
Right.
so-
Like all quiet on the Western Front when the tanks come and everyone's just like, fuck this, and sprints out of there.
yeah, exactly. Oh man, that is a strong opener, man. I like that.
Mm.
And you clearly know. You mentioned history quite a bit now. Like you're clearly a history buff. You know your stuff, or at least you know your stuff well enough to perplex me. Like this idiot will just believe anything I say. Yeah, yeah. No, they fought demons. This is cool. I'm like, did
I
they
actually know
tell me?
nothing before the 80s.
yeah.
Well, no, I mean, this
Uh,
will lead into the next movie, but I was kind of born into enjoying history. My dad was huge, huge into history. Like all of our vacations as kids, we would go to a Civil War battlefield,
mhm,
or he would take me to a Revolutionary War, or I guess the American Revolution reenactment.
mm,
And it always just stuck with me. And a lot of things that I'm introduced to kind of come and go, but history has always been something I had an interest in. Um, I think part of that is just such like some of the stuff. Like I really like military history, like World War
mm.
One, World War Two, the American Revolution, things like that. Just like you hear these stories of such bravery, and you try to put yourself there. Like you think of the guys storming the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. It's like, dude, I would have been either shot or drowned within 5 seconds, and these guys are just fucking pushing through mortar fire and gunfire and making their way up there. It's like I don't think I could do that in a million years.
Oh, you look at like, and I'm like, I'm not even going to say the kids today. Like, obviously, like their attention spans like that. But even like my generation, like we don't have what it takes. Like, there are some few who, like, if they were required to like stand in battle, they could do it. But most of us, we just don't have like we're not made of the same. We don't have the same guts, man. Like the idea of like I'm like I'm so glad there's not conscription in Australia because I would just oh man, I'd probably be a turncoat. Like I just couldn't do it. Like oh man, like
See, I think I would probably try like going in there being Johnny Tough Nuts, like, yeah, let's get him. And then I would just keep fucking stuff up immeasurably until they either just drop me or I get killed. Like, but
yeah,
here's
yeah, I'd be like a
something
bullet to
cool,
the foot. I'd be like, oh, I'll just like, I'd rather the bullet to a foot than a bullet to the head. So, oh, I did it again,
right?
guys. Like I'm just losing toes every week just till they kick me
Well,
out.
while we're on the subject, I heard something cool once too, and I'm wondering if you would agree with it. But they were talking about, I don't remember who said it. They were talking about people who used to make movies in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and how different they were and how original they were. And somebody brought up the point like, well, a lot of people who got into movies back then, I mean, you could even say film noir and all that stuff from the 50s and 60s, is these guys had been through wars, whether it was World War II or Vietnam, and they've seen all this stuff and had all these experiences. A lot of actors used to be like, yeah, people who served time in jail. Like, look at Johnny Cash. Like, dude was a
Yeah,
criminal. And there was so much originality to that because the guys who got into entertainment were normally unconventional characters. Like, they didn't have normal lives. Like, we were saying, like Vietnam, or maybe they were just like crazy partying, in the Hollywood Hills all night and meeting all these weird people. And like, you don't really have that nowadays. A lot of times, it's a guy who goes to film school and then gets a job in the movie industry. They don't come from these wild backgrounds with all these stories that they've lived.
yeah. It is fascinating. Like because all a lot of my favorite filmmakers, like you look at Tarantino, like Tarantino never went to film school. Like he
Right.
worked in a video store, he went to the movies, and then he's like, I can figure this out. Nolan never went to film school. Like, and Nolan,
Wow.
like
I didn't
you
know
would
that.
you would think he'd be a like the kind of like meticulous detail. Like he must have been a film school guy. Never
Hmm.
went to film school. Kevin Smith, like you could probably tell he didn't go to film school. Like I love him. Like he's one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. But he went, dropped out, and then did his own thing, and like kind of it's yeah, like it's all I think it comes back to the conversation we had before about like how can you possibly give a grade to art? And I feel it's the same way. It's like how can you teach someone to tell a story? Like
Hmm.
you can give them the tools to use the right lens and mic everything correctly and light it, but like as a species, like there is only one art form, and that is storytelling. Whether you choose to tell story through music or movies or books, like it all comes down to the one thing. Well, we're just telling stories, but like that's what makes us individual. So you can't teach that. Like, why aren't we getting? Yeah, I think like the idea of trying to educate people on how to make movies, it's not. Yeah, like there's something missing there. I agree with you. It's like you can teach me how to set up the equipment. You can teach me the names of all the jobs and all the different equipment that I'll never use because I'm the director. But you can't teach me to make a good movie.
Hmm.
Just can't. Like you can, Tommy Wiseau didn't go to film school. Look what he did. The Room. Like,
Yeah.
but no one else could have made that movie.
Right.
Like at the same time. So
I
I
learned to
do
write
agree.
fiction through YouTube.
Yeah, like I agree with you. I don't think it's yeah, like it's definitely like the lack of experience, but it's also like trying to turn it into like a 3-year course. Like, oh, we'll just teach you how to
Hmm.
make the next Pulp Fiction. Like, no, you can't learn how to make Pulp Fiction.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, Tarantino watched more movies and television than anyone in the history of humanity, and then cherry picked the best bits,
Yeah.
and put it through his prism. Like, you can't teach someone to make that. You can't teach someone to make Inception. You can't teach someone to make. Do you know what you can do? You can teach someone to make Batman. Like, it
Hmm.
hurts my heart to say it because I'm a big Batman fan, but like, they've given plenty of different directors the opportunity to do that. Like, clearly, you can be a director for hire and make that, but you can't make the ones that matter, the ones that stick with you. You can't teach someone to make Hot Fuzz. Like you either it's that story is in the core of that person. So I don't think like we're out of original creators. I think there's some really wonderful filmmakers coming up, and there's obviously some long-serving filmmakers still with us. But I think it's just the attitude of like, let's just package it in a box, and then in 3 years you'll be able to do whatever else is doing. It's like, but everyone else isn't doing that like because it's not
Right.
everyone else. Like all the filmmakers you care about, they're not part of the everyone else. Like there's no one else like Tarantino. There's no one else like Robert Rodriguez. There's no one else like Edgar Wright. Like that's why we like those movies. And I think it's the whole attitude to like just shuffle them in and they'll be able to do it.
Uh-huh.
It's like no, they won't, and they're not. So
And I think it
um,
adds to it that when a filmmaker does develop their own style, that it's going to stand out more because, like we were talking about with music, movies also feel very formulaic, very commercialized. Like, this has to happen here, that has to happen there, this has to happen here. It's like, yeah. Like, so,
it's why I'm not worried about the AI thing. Like
mhm.
like studios will use it eventually. Like they'll find a way around to get to use it, and they'll see the results of it. Like this, I was listening to a really great interview with I don't know if you're familiar with Monster Magnet, the rock band from Jersey, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not like super familiar, but yeah, I do know the name hanging around those
I
circles.
was listening to this interview with Dave Windorf, the lead singer of Monster Magnet. He was talking about how, like, in the early 2000s, he finally got on the Pro Tools wagon. He was like, "Look, we'll use it because everyone else is using it, expect to use Pro Tools." And like after like one take, he was like, "I'm not using this because the song sounds perfect
Hmm.
and this is rock and roll, like so it shouldn't sound perfect. Like if every
Sure.
drum beat is in perfect time and the guitar solo sounds like a computer could do it, then why am I making this music? Like I might as well pack up and go home now. Like
Hmm.
and I think it's kind of like the same philosophy. It's like it's meant to have mistakes. It's meant to feel like a person made it. It shouldn't be. Yeah, I feel like I'm going on a really weird tangent.
No,
I've taken it beyond what you were saying, but yeah, like,
no, the AI stuff is really fascinating because as a writer, I find myself thinking about it a lot. Like,
mm,
anybody can go to ChatGPT and be like, "Hey, write me, 100 words on this story I want to do," and within a matter of seconds, there you go, edit it, publish it.
yeah,
It's weird that, but I find myself going back to this idea of where do we draw the line with AI? Because I use spell check. I think most writers use spell check. Is that not AI?
Mm.
I listen to my books out loud with the Microsoft function because sometimes when I hear it out loud, I can pick up on mistakes that I don't see just reading through it. So it's almost like, where do we draw the line between what's acceptable AI and what isn't? I
Mm.
mean, I obviously there's a big distinction from using spell check to having AI write your book. But it's just weird because in some kind of way, at least for the past however many years, we have been using some form of technology to assist with entertainment.
Yeah, I think like yeah, it is it's going to be an ongoing conversation for sure. Like as AI continues to become more and more relevant, and I think it's always like, look, you use the tools you have. Like you get a better lens, you get a better camera, awesome. But you don't program the camera to like shoot the film while you go take
Mm.
five. It's like it's like
You
cruise
know,
control. You turn it on, but you don't go in the passenger seat of the car. Like you get. Although
you,
self-driving cars are on the rise, aren't they? So
well, you know what's weird working in television, like I said about journalism, I did a TV newscast and I started out as a PA. And one of the things was camera operator.
hmm,
And you think of that and you think back in the day where you have the handles and you're manually moving it and manually zooming in. Well, our cameras were programmed. So that
yeah,
was kind of an early adaptation of AI. Like we could code it into the scripts, like, oh, the camera pans this way and zooms in this way. So it's kind of weird because you can do stuff like
mm,
that.
yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, well, we went on a tangent there. But it's good. That's good. I was like, I'm liking this question. We're gonna dive into it. So Last Samurai, you like? Good.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
What's number four? You said it kind of leads into this. So what's number four for you?
Oh, yes, talking about history and everything. Very
Yes, that's
along the lines of The Last Samurai is The Patriot.
so
And
I've never seen The Patriot. It's one I have to see. It's shocking I haven't seen it, but I've never seen it. So yeah,
mhm.
give me some. Tell me all about it. Well, not all about it, but tell me about it.
Well, it starts out in, I believe, 1775.
Yeah.
Um, so The Patriot, The Last Samurai, and Gladiator all came out within like 3 years of each other.
Yeah.
And being a kid back then and seeing this stuff, I'm like, these movies are not just action movies, they're historical stuff, which I've always been into, and I just ate these things up. Like, I would watch them easily, probably, if not once a week, once a month when I was a
Yeah, sure.
teenager, just because I loved them so much. Um, with the Patriot, being an American, like there's just that tie to it that, you want to be proud of your country and seeing them fight this revolution. And, from an early age, we're taught about like the founding fathers and the American Revolution and everything that went into it. And from a kid, I always took to, we call it the Revolutionary War, the American Revolution. I don't know what it is. I've always enjoyed that time period, the 1700s, and learning more about it. Um, so to see like Mel Gibson, like he was like huge back around that
Yeah.
time, in the 90s, early 2000s. So to see a movie with him and one that takes place during the Revolutionary War and, having been to these reenactments of it, seeing these large scale battles and seeing the stories we read about in school of him fighting in the swamps and everything. Man, I just really love the visuals and the whole setting of it. And then on top of that, you get this story of revenge. I don't think it's a spoiler. It happens pretty early on. There's this dastardly, evil, or probably over the top evil English general.
Is it Jason
And
Isaacs? Is that who it is,
uh,
or
one thing you should know about me, I am awful with actors and directors.
Have you seen any of the Harry Potter films?
I saw one by accident. There was a dude fighting a dragon, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" So I just kept
Okay,
it on, and then at
never
the end it
mind.
popped up Harry Potter, and I'm like, "Oh damn, that's Harry
There you
Potter." All
go.
right, I see.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's Jason Isaacs. I'll just say yes. He was also in the Tuxedo. If you've seen that.
I have
Um,
not.
it's such a great. It's like you would not expect it to be a great film. It's so
Hmm.
good. Yeah, it's him and Heath Ledger and Mel. So yeah, sorry, go on. Evil
Oh, they're
English
all in
general
one movie. Oh, yes, in this movie.
in Patriot. Yes,
Yes, yes.
yeah, the
So,
movie we're talking about. Yep.
right, I was like, boy, that cat sounds really familiar. Where the hell am I? But yeah, on top of just being an awesome Revolutionary War battle movie, you get this great story of revenge and vengeance, I guess, same thing,
Yes.
whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about. But so early on, this over the top English general. comes to Mel Gibson's farm and murders one of his sons. And Mel Gibson was the guy who didn't want to go to war. He wanted
Mm.
peace. Well, once they kill his son, he was in a previous war. Well, he gets out his gear from that
Mm.
and he hunts down what he can of the British guys and just, man, shoots them and hacks them up with tomahawks. And
Oh my God, how have I not seen this movie?
oh my God, dude,
Yeah.
you gotta go check this out. And so after that, it turns into this almost like a Kill Bill-esque revenge where he's going around and trying to get revenge on this general and he's hunting him down through the swamps and various battles that actually took place. And it all culminates in just this gigantic battle in an open field with Mel
Nice.
Gibson's side and the villainous English side. And just an all-around awesome movie that I still try to watch every 4th of July because I'm like, this is what else would I want to watch?
How do we celebrate our nation's independence? Revenge.
With
Um,
revenge and violence.
there's there's nothing so satisfying as a revenge film. I would look at just been
Mhm.
trailing through a bunch of them this last couple of weeks. Not on purpose. I was like, yeah, let's do another one. Let's run a revenge film. That sounds awesome. Like it's definitely a flick that I've got to get on. And yeah, never like avoided it on purpose, just never crossed my path. So like I'm definitely keen.
Mhm.
And one thing I love about this show is I've seen a lot of movies. I haven't seen every movie, and pretty much every week someone comes on. Like, cool, you've just given me one to add onto the list,
Mhm.
and you sold it so well. So I'm keen to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was like this with Saving Private Ryan too, but
Mm.
there's a lot of characters in this or actors who were pretty big around the time through like sitcoms or whatever. Like I don't know if you ever saw the show Grounded for Life, but the dad of that's in here and
Okay.
a couple other like mid-tier actors who you would have recognized if you were watching TV or movies back then. So to see them in roles like this was really cool
Mm.
as well. So,
Nice, man. Yeah, I can't wait to check it out. You've really sold me on it. I'm like, yeah, that sounds. Because I didn't know it's. I knew there was like someone gets killed and like it's a Revolutionary War thing, but
mhm.
selling it to me as a revenge film, like you just bought my ticket. I'm gonna go check it out. So
Right. Because now it takes it from just being a historical war movie to like something more deep and personal. Like you want to
that's
see
it.
this
Yeah.
guy get his payback.
And that's the one thing about war, right? Like it can't be personal. It's like you do the job
Hmm.
and you move on. But like when you bring that in, you're like, yeah, let's do the wrong thing. Well, don't tell Mel Gibson to do the wrong thing. He will. But like, but in this case, yeah, do the wrong thing. It's okay. Um, okay. What is It's embarrassing how much I make myself laugh. What is number three on your list, Roy?
So this one might be a little controversial, but I wanted a horror movie on here,
Yes.
and I think my favorite horror movie, get ready to jeer me, everybody, is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
I really like his Halloween too. I actually
Really?
rewatched them both. I want to say it was last year, and I'd always
Hmm.
liked the first one better. And the most recent rewatch, it's swapped. I think
Yeah.
two is so misunderstood, and there's so much
Hmm.
like everyone say what you will about the most recent trilogy. I think we can agree that most people love the first one. They're like, oh, it's a return to form, and they're like, it's so great how they like investigated like Laurie's trauma and all that sort of thing. It's like Rob Zombie did it first. He did
Yeah.
it like 15 years ago. Um, yeah, I'll get into it, but like this is your flick. Tell me all about it.
Hmm.
Like, but yes, I am a big supporter of this movie.
Yeah. So like you, for the longest time, I always liked his first one, and then I was kind of like meh on the second one, especially when I saw it in theaters. I
Mm.
remember seeing it with the girl I was dating back then and two of my best friends, and we all went in expecting like, similar to the first one, like this is gonna be just a crazy over the top gore fest, and it was so much different than that to the point where I was just like, that was dumb. Like I was like 18, I'm like that was dumb, that was stupid, I didn't get it.
Mm.
And I definitely see where, if you're a hardcore Halloween person, where you might not appreciate this one, I guess. But for me, it literally takes the mask off slasher movies.
Mm.
Like Michael Myers, for the longest time, is just walking around as like this grody dude through these
Yeah,
farmlands. Like it makes him feel like a legitimate serial killer and not just
yeah,
some guy in a mask. And I think too, just walking around that desolate area, the scenes of like the gray skies and everything, it really just brings that whole late fall, or I guess early fall vibe to life. Um, and I just get that feel from it when I'm watching it. Like, oh yeah, this is definitely making me feel like it's Halloween time.
Mm.
And on top of that, the kills, you got to have that in any good slasher flick. The kills are crazy.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, I just like so much about it. The damaged mask, like it doesn't look pristine. It's been
yeah,
buried, it's been shot, it's been whatever, so it's all scraped up. I love that Rob Zombie's like a giant imposing figure, and at like one point he flips over a car.
yeah, yeah,
It's like, yeah, I want him to be scary like this. So, oh yeah, and on top of that, one of the biggest things I'm missing is how it delves into the psyche of both Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. Like,
yeah,
w-
absolutely.
one of my favorite scenes in the entire franchise is when Michael like puts her on that, it's like a dream, and Michael puts her on that table, and there's like the spirits of Halloween at it, and
Mm.
Michael's a kid and his mom's there with the horse, just so surreal.
Yeah.
And you don't see that much from your typical slasher movie, and I don't think people, especially from Rob Zombie, were expecting something to get that like deep and in someone's mind the way it did. So just all those things are why I really love this movie.
What's interesting, like one thing I know a lot of people don't like, or I mean, a lot of people don't like the film, but one thing I know a lot of people don't like is that Rob Zombie has been very outspoken. Like, there was never a sequel intended. He was contractually
Hmm.
obligated to do it, and if he didn't make it, someone else would. And he was like, "Then I'm burying Michael Myers," and like he hated making it. And people were like, "Don't say that because we like it." I
Hmm.
actually think like you can feel in that film how much Rob Zombie doesn't like the film, and I think it makes it more unsettling. You can tell like
Hmm.
because if you watch that film, like no one, like everyone is getting punished in that film in some way or another. Like no one's having a good time. Like, and you can almost feel like Rob Zombie being like, and like maybe I'm getting way too like like nerdy about it, but I almost feel like everyone is being punished because the studio made him do it.
Hmm.
Like if you
No,
think about
that's it's a
like
good way to look at it. And
like
if you look at it too,
yeah, like
everyone's kind of a terrible character in that one.
yeah, like Annie, like who suffered so horribly in the previous movie. Like you come home and like her dad finds her naked and she's been stabbed and she's bleeding, but she recovers. You're like, okay, well at least it's not going to happen again. And then she dies so brutally in the second one, and her dad, I think her dad gets killed, or like I think I can't remember now. It's been a minute since I've watched it, but like and Laurie's having a bad time, and like everyone's fighting, and it's like it seems like such a cathartic experiment for Rob Zombie. Like I don't know whether he would agree with it, but it feels like everything he was feeling about the pressure of having to do a sequel is like, well, everyone in Haddonfield's gonna feel it. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I think it works for it. Like he makes like those are some pretty mean spirited Halloween films. Like no one's having a good time, but that one in particular, you just feel that rage and that like kind of frustration, and I think it actually plays into the film. Um, and I don't know, like I really like it. When I rewatched it last year, I could not believe how much I enjoyed it because I was the same as everyone else. I'm like, this is not particularly good. And then I
Hmm.
rewatched it, like, there's a lot more going on here than I think people want to admit because yeah, there's so much and all the surreal stuff. And I didn't like the no mask and the scream at first. I'm like, you shouldn't talk, you should wear a mask. And I was like,
Hmm.
why? Because everyone else said that's the rules. I'm like, no, like
Right.
make him different, make him raw, make him humanize him, and like you don't humanize him in as much as like make him relatable, but like take the immortality away from him again, and then suddenly like I think he's scary. I think he's scarier when he's not covered in like plot armor and
Hmm.
immortal. Like, yes, there's the cool thing about a relentless killing machine, but knowing that he could die at any point, knowing he's got the same life as us, and he's choosing to use it to just cruelly punish people is scarier than like, well, of course,
Yeah.
he's evil forever. He's meant to be like that. Like, it's like no, like he is human, and this is what he's chosen to do with his life. Like, that's terrifying to me.
Right. To me, I'm on the same boat. That makes it so much more unsettling that a human could be capable of this. If we get into those later Halloween movies where, oh, he's a spawn of an Irish curse and this, that, and the third, it's like, well, now you kind of took everything away that made him scary because
Mm,
what made Michael Myers scary to me in the first place is he was just some dude from a mental asylum that escaped one night. Like,
mm,
that's so much scarier than all the bullshit about him being immortal and he's just a killing machine. It's like, no, it makes it scarier because he is one of us. And there are people out there like him. And to see that, in Halloween 2 and how he's just kind of this weird homeless dude walking around
mm,
with just this stringy hair. And even though he doesn't have a mask on, you still can't really see his face. Like,
mm.
I don't know. It just brings him more to life than would all the supernatural stuff around him.
And like, I like both. I'm one of the few people I know who likes the new trilogy in its entirety from start to finish. And I do like how this version of Michael, like his kind of like his shadow has hung over them for 40 years, and he's basically poisoned the positivity of the town where everyone's just like kind of turns on one another. I like that as well.
Hmm.
But I do like this version, this brutal, very human, defeatable Michael Myers, which I like that as well. You can do both as long as again, just take big swings. I think Rob Zombie maybe unwillingly took a bigger swing than he realized, because he's doing stuff that no one was doing with the character. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
I think it belongs. I'm glad it's on your list. I think it's great.
Well, that's what I think too about it is he did some, you said it best. He did something with the character that nobody's ever done.
Mm.
Like, I don't understand. Do people just want the same movie over and over and over again? Or do you want to see a fresh take on something? Because to me, I've seen the killer movies, I've seen the slasher flicks. Like, so to see it done in, I mean, it's still a slasher movie, but it's done in such a different style that it stands out among the rest of the myriad of sequels.
That's the thing that always confuses me. Like and I don't think everyone who says this is contributing to like a toxic fandom per se. But when people say, "Oh, that sequel ruined the original for me," I'm like, how has it done that?
Yeah, I never
Because
get that.
I've watched all of them, and like I didn't see the original Halloween until I was about 18. I was probably rented it from a video store, loved it immediately. But I watched a bunch of them, and I don't look at the inferior sequels and be like, well, I can't go back to that first one. Like that's it. Like I'm like,
Hmm.
shut shut up. Like it's fine. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
I've
it's
never,
yeah, it's so weird. But anyway, yeah,
yeah, I've never understood that either. It's like, yeah, what if they do make a bunch of sequel? Like, what if this Joker sequel? What if that is just absolute shit? Well, that's not
it
going to
sh-
ruin the original one for me
yeah.
because the
If
original one is
anything,
still the original.
it should make you love the original more. 'Cause she's like, oh yes, well
Good
you're
point.
untainted at least.
Hmm.
It's, side note, I am excited for that sequel. I think it looks, I think it looks fascinating what they're doing. So,
Yeah, and I mean, is it real? It's going to be like half musical?
well, I heard originally that's what I heard, but then I heard somewhere that it's more of a jukebox musical, and a lot. I think the music stuff is more when they play with what's reality and what's in their mind. So I think they're going to
Hmm.
use it as a storytelling device. I don't think it's going to be flat out like Joker wakes up and sings about getting cheese or whatever. But
Well,
if they did that, I'd be cool with it. Like,
that's what I was thinking because I hate musicals, but I'm like, well, maybe if it's like a really demented one, it could be cool.
um,
And
sorry, go on.
just
Yeah.
and just on top of that, Lady Gaga is a phenomenal entertainer. Like,
So underrated. I watched A Star Is Born for the first time this year, and I was like, why did I sleep on this? She's like, this
hmm,
is a great movie. She's great in it. And like, I feel like if you're gonna do musical, then you get to potentially introduce some of the wackiness of the Joker that we didn't get in that last film. Like that last was very
hmm.
grounded. But if you want to see him be cartoonish, like this might be the way in to play with that. I don't know if they're gonna do that, but big swings. Just keep doing like
Yeah.
that's that's the other moral of today's episode. Put
You know what
yourself out
got
there.
me?
Yeah,
You know
go
what
on.
got me
Sorry.
thinking? What got me thinking I might like it as a musical was thinking back to Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like musicals, but I like that movie because it's so fucked up. Like he's there
Yeah,
singing as he's slashing people's throats. Like, all right, I'm
yeah.
down for it.
Have you ever
Two.
said? Oh, sorry, go on. Go, go, go.
Oh no, go ahead. I want to hear what you're gonna say.
I was going to say because we're talking about musicals. Have you ever seen Repo, the Genetic Opera?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so directed by Darren Lewis Bozeman, who I think Saw 2 and Saw 3, and like
Oh.
in between Saw films, he was like, I don't know, I went to this club one night and I saw these two guys and they did like this like 10-minute opera, and it was about like futuristic like repossession of body parts. He's like, I don't know, it seemed pretty
Mm.
cool. And so he made this movie. It's this movie musical, like it's insane. It's considered like most people consider it awful, but I think like if you want to talk about big swings, it's like you've
Wow.
got Bill Moseley in it, like
Oh,
obviously
what?
yeah, like he's in it. Paris Hilton is in it, and like he's legitimately like quite entertaining in it.
Okay.
Um, Alexa Vega, the Spy Kids girl who grew up and got insanely hot, like she's
Oh,
in it.
really?
It's um it's a fascinating watch. Like I'm not saying that I like it. I don't know whether I could like recommend to people like, oh, you'll love it. Because
Hmm.
the first time I watched it, my wife and I got 10 minutes in and she was like, I hate this. And I was like, all right, no worries, it's not for you. But like if you don't like musicals, but you want Anthony Stewart Head, like from Buffy is in it. Like he
Hmm.
plays the Repo Man. Like
Wow.
it's like super violent and gory, but it's an opera, but it's like electronic rock opera. Sarah Brightman is in it, like because she's an opera singer. Like it's insane. Like it's I don't know how that flick got made. Like it makes no sense that this movie got made, but it's insane. And if you don't like musicals, but you want to try a musical, like I would
Hmm.
recommend Repo the Genetic Opera. It's
Okay.
bonkers. Like yeah,
Sounds
at the
fascinating.
worst case scenario, you'll be entertained. You'll be like, well,
Right.
it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Sure,
I
um,
love that. I think you sold me on it. I love weird.
nice. But you're gonna say something before I interrupt you
Oh
there.
yeah, I was going to ask if we can take a second and talk about the new Halloween trilogy.
Sure, absolutely.
So you said you like it the whole way through, start to finish. The
I
new
do.
one kills, ends.
I do. I think Kills is my favorite.
Ah,
Um,
my man.
yeah, because I watched it and I was like, because everyone like I was like, they're like, don't do it. Like you'll hate it. It's not good. And I sat there and I watched it and I was like, oh, this isn't a horror film, and that's why people don't like it. Like this is a drama. Like this is the sequel. Like this is literally the same night as the first one, and this is a film about trauma. But
Hmm.
because it's not played as a horror film, they put the most brutal kills you've seen in a Halloween film ever. Like that whole like the firefighter sequence with the axe
Oh
to the
my
face,
God, dude,
and like
disturbing.
the car attack, like when he's like attacking them in the car, and like the blade goes in like it's the most, and like Cameron gets killed on the staircase. Like it's so violent. But
Hmm.
I was, and like it was at that point, and this before Ends had come out, I was like, oh, David Gordon Green is like he's been look again. Like I don't know if this is true. I haven't read anything where he said it. But I'm like he's seen the trend of elevated horror. Like we're seeing
Hmm.
things like Midsommar and Hereditary and Saint Maud, and it's like the idea of like do we can take horror to a different level. He's seen that, and he's at least in my opinion, he's applying those principles to a slasher that we all know. And so every film is about like so the first film is about um paranoia, right? Like it's about paranoia. It's about the idea
Hmm.
of like Laurie has been paranoid for 40 years and she's become a recluse and she won't spend time with her family. And it's her own paranoia and fear that has led Michael back to her ultimately. And then the second one is about trauma because you have that it's a really wonderful scene and everyone thinks it's cheesy and that's fine that they do. But that whole evil dies tonight sequence, that is the
Yeah.
first time the people at Haddonfield have united together in 40 years. They're like, we've had this trauma for 40 years. This monster, he's been hanging over us too long. Let's get together. And granted, they get the wrong guy. Like, it
Hmm.
doesn't work out for them. But the idea of, like, we're going to band together. And then the third one is about the difference between blame and forgiveness. Because you've got your two characters. You've got Laurie's granddaughter. I can't remember her name on top of my head. And she has been involved with Michael Myers since, like, the first movie, and everyone's like, you know what? It wasn't your fault. You're a teenage girl. You can do anything. We forgive you. Like, just move on. But then you've got this other character, who I'm forgetting now, the one that everyone hates. And the child dies on his watch, but he's not at fault. It was an
Yes, I know who you're
accident.
talking about.
And like, because they blame him and they refuse to let up, like they turn him against the town. And that's
Hmm.
what I was saying before about the idea that Michael Myers will poison Haddonfield forever, like until he's destroyed, like he'll always poison. And then you get this like weird like sequence where I wish I could remember the character's name, but he becomes like Michael's
Is it like Kenny
apprentice.
or something?
It's something like that. I can't
Yeah.
remember. He becomes Michael's apprentice, which a lot of people didn't like as well. But I'm like, are you kidding me? Like that's like think about it. You've never seen a slasher like a monster be like, hey, I'm training my new recruit. Like it's so
Hmm.
bizarre and out there. You've never seen it before. But also the one thing this whole trilogy has been about for me is legacy. Like
Hmm.
these are legacy sequels, but also it's like, what is Laurie Strode's legacy going to be? What is Michael Myers' legacy going to be? And with legacy, like you don't. The only way to keep it alive is to hand it off to someone else. So of course Michael had to train. Like he's no longer able to do the Michael Myers thing, and then of course he comes back and does do it. But like it seems like he's been in the tunnel, he's been hiding away. He's not well enough to do it. Like so, he's like, I need I need someone to take my place. So my legacy will live on. And I don't know whether people have read into that and seen that, or whether they just don't like it. But I'm like, that's like this isn't a slasher movie with a guy with a kitchen knife. Like, look at these
Hmm.
ideas they're putting into this. So that's why I love them. And I know like there are probably people right now like you're crazy. Like David Gordon Green just wants to do something weird. But that's how I interpret them, and that's why I like them so much. Um,
Wow, that is a fascinating take that I've never heard. That it makes sense though, everything you're saying about the different movies and what they embody, especially hearing your take on Halloween Ends because that is one I did not like.
mm.
Um, so
Which,
to
by the
hear,
way, I get that
Mhm.
people don't like it. Like Michael's on, like in less than half the film when he is
Mhm.
there, he's training his replacement. Um, I remember I heard someone say that they would like the third one better if instead of this new character, it had been Cameron because he'd been like a love interest and then
Hmm.
he'd been kind of spurned and stuff like that. I'm like, that does make sense for sure. I get it. Corey is the
Corey.
character's name. I got there.
I was thinking
Um,
Squiggy. I think that's from a 60s sitcom.
but that's why I like it. And I totally understand that I'm in the minority and I get it. And like, I'm not like, you guys are wrong. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I think that's the, can you honestly say you've seen that in any other slasher film? And maybe it doesn't belong in there, but big swings, man. It just comes back to it.
Yeah, and that makes me sound like a total hypocrite because how I just said I love all of Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie because it does things so different is the reason I don't like Halloween Ends. So it's like
Okay.
it's weird. I guess I have my own taste there. But for me, I really enjoyed the first, what was that, 2016 Halloween,
2018, I think it was.
2018 Halloween. Really like that. Kind of weird seeing as how H2O came out and then they're just like, yeah, H2O didn't happen. We're gonna go this way.
Yeah, we're gonna go with like then nothing happened except for the first one, which
Right. Hey,
yeah, hey, it's a
I'm
take,
here for it, whatever.
but it doesn't
And then
ruin the first one, so it's all good.
hearing what you said about Halloween Kills, that was really wild to me because I look at it totally different. I look at it as what slasher movies always wanted to be, the violent
Mm,
kills, the just over the top nature of it
mm,
all that for the longest time they couldn't do because of the ratings. Like you look back
mm,
to the Friday the 13th movies and all the Tom Savini effects on certain ones that had to be cut out.
mm.
And in Halloween Kills, I'd always heard people didn't like it because, oh, it's just Michael Myers going around killing people for an hour and a half.
Oh
And
no,
I'm
what were we thinking? Like,
right, like I thought that's what Halloween is. Like that's what we
yeah,
wanted from it, and this really takes it to the extreme. And I liked it the most because one, again, we talk about that Halloween feel. You know, it's
mm,
not a contained story. They're in a bar that's all decked out for Halloween. Like just the decorations. It takes place right after trick or treat. Everyone's still kind of in costume. Um, so just everything about that and the like I was saying, how violent it is. To me,
mm,
I didn't pick up on like I guess maybe a little bit on the trauma, but to me it was more so that aura of this is your quintessential slasher movie. Like you want a
mm,
slasher movie, here you fucking go. Like
yeah,
we're gonna make you a slasher flick. And then the third one, I say that I would have enjoyed it more had it not been Halloween Ends and the conclusion to everything.
sure.
So I love A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, where Freddy's kind of possessing that kid and he comes out at the end. Like,
Mm,
love that idea. And I think I would have liked it a lot more on this had it not been the wrap up to the Laurie and Michael story.
sure,
And
and I get that as well. It's like, and we all know, like that producer, I can't remember his name, but like I think they've already announced there's another Halloween happening. Like it took 2 minutes.
probably,
They were like,
it's not going
it,
anywhere.
it's always going to come back. And those movies made money, but I get it from a story point of view. Like it's nice to leave it open ended, especially with a monster like that. Um,
Yeah, and thinking about it, I really don't know what I would have done for Halloween Ends. How do you end
mm,
this legendary story that's been going on for 40 years? I feel like no matter what you do, you're gonna upset somebody. Like you're not gonna please everybody with a concrete ending to Halloween. Like how?
mm,
I wouldn't want to produce it. I wouldn't want to direct it. Like how
yeah,
would you do that? Like you're not gonna
I mean, I guess the first step is don't call it Halloween ends. Like
right.
you did paint yourself into a corner there.
Or
I
like
also
Halloween Ends question mark.
yeah, Halloween ends. Um, I also have this other theory, and this is a bit more of a silly theory, but like if you notice like the way the trilogy set out, it does match, like in terms of like the credits and everything else, it does mimic the original trilogy. Like even
Hmm.
down to like the lettering and the color of the font in the credits. So the third one, Halloween Ends, has uses the blue font, which the first two didn't use. And that's
Hmm.
what Halloween Season of the Witch used, which is notoriously hated until about 5, 10 years ago. And
Right?
part of me is like, did David Gordon Green deliberately make a movie he knew people would hate, but then in 10, 15 years come to really love and respect because it was the odd one out? I'm like, that is a long game, but I'm here for it if that's the case.
You might be dead on. We might get so many sequels that people look back on Halloween Ends and say like, "Man, that was really good."
Yeah. Or
Season of the Witch
maybe
is weird.
he's like, oh, it ends the fandom. Like maybe that's what he was
Mm.
intending. But I like it. I think, like it's definitely probably the weakest of the three, but I think it takes some of the biggest swings. Like it's doing some really
Yeah.
interesting, weird stuff. Yeah.
And it's interesting you bring that up on Season of the Witch also because I really like the idea of a big horror franchise being an anthology.
Well, that's what it
Like,
was meant to be. Like the story,
right.
like yeah, like
But,
Michael Myers was never meant to be this returning character. It was like we're gonna do
mhm.
a different story each movie, which would have been just imagine John Carpenter doing that for 10 years. Like, oh my God,
Could you
like
imagine some of the story? Well, I mean, I guess he kind of did. Like, he went out and did so much different stuff that you could easily say, like I could see Escape
his
from
career is that, isn't it? Like, really?
right. Like I could see Escape from New York fitting in well. I mean, you watch
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of horror overtones to that. It's a freaky movie.
Mm.
Um, but Season of the Witch is weird because yeah, I always remember hearing people hate it, and then it was one day people were like, "Yeah, Season of the Witch, that's all right." I'm like,
Yeah.
"What happened here?" I've always been pretty down the road with it. Like, I think it's a fine kind of sci-fi-ish horror movie. I don't think it's like some people say now and the best in the series or whatever. But I mean, I would have liked to have seen more stuff like that. But what happened
Yeah.
is, Michael Myers kind of blew up, Halloween blew up, and then they make a sequel with Michael Myers. Like, how could you not expect the third one to have Michael Myers in it? So that was
Yeah.
real, or not culture shock, but like shocking. Like, oh no, wait, what? This is Michael's franchise.
Yeah. And no one could have expected, like, no one could have picked that Michael Myers would have blown up the way he did. Like, I'm
Yeah,
sure John Carpenter was like, oh man, like, I really had a cool idea here. And, like, Michael's really, like, murdered it.
you ruined it.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw Season of the Witch way late. Like, I didn't see that till again, like, I was in my 20s. And when I watched, so I didn't have, like, the weight of, like, the franchise, like, the way that people saw it when it came in theaters. So when I watched, I'm like, this is really fun. Like I like Tom Atkins. He seems like a cool guy. Uh, no matter how old he looks, he's always like getting the youngest, like prettiest girls. Like, which I
I
believe
love
is,
that dude.
I think it's true. I don't think that's. I think that's art imitating life. I don't think it's the other way around. I think he did pretty well in his personal life as well. But yeah, it's a fun flick, man.
Hmm.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So a few people have heard my rant on the Halloween trilogy before, but it's like I don't.
Hmm.
Again, like I'm just and that's why people always like, oh my God, he just likes everything. But it's like, no, I'm just trying to, like we talked about at the very beginning, I try to find something good about everything.
Hmm.
And I think that trilogy, like, in a world where he could have just made the same thing over and over again, like he tried to do something different. At least that's the way I've interpreted it. If I'm interpreting it wrong, that's fine, but that's what I get out of it. It brings,
Yeah, you can definitely respect that.
yeah. Um, I think we've been going for like 3 hours.
Oh, we're getting close.
So, remember I was like, it won't go 3 hours. Like it's literally closing on 3 hours. What a fool I was. Um, All right, man. What's the number? I'm so glad you brought up Halloween too. Like, it's a flick that, yeah, needs more. The people need to review it. Give it another go. Like, it's definitely got some cool stuff in it.
Took me a couple watches, like
Mm. Yeah,
probably a solid two or three before I finally got like, oh, I see what's happening here.
yeah, me too. Like, it wasn't like first couple of times I'm like this. Okay, it still sucks. Like, I watched a few times,
Hmm.
and then like it's then last year it clicked. I'm like, oh, this because they released it on Blu-ray finally, but only in the double
Mm.
pack. So I was like, because they never released Halloween 2 on Blu-ray, so I was like, oh, I'll buy one again. Like, I'll get two. Like, that'll be fine. And oh my God, like it just changed. I just everything I thought I knew about it changed.
Yeah,
Which is
I'm
always
still
good.
rocking the DVD of it from like I
Yeah.
got it used for like $5 at an FYE. Dude, that thing has been with me through some shit.
Oh man, I spent a lot of money on this. Like it was like a $60 Blu-ray like
What? Oh my
for the
God.
double pack. Yeah, but I was like, no, I want it. I'm dedicated to the cause. What is number two, man?
All right, number one and two, man, they could interchange by the day.
Hmm.
But right now, number two goes to Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs.
Such a great flick. Such
Yeah,
a man.
yeah. I mean, what can I say about it that hasn't been said? I mean, you have these just memorable characters under great code names like Mr. Blonde, Mr. Pink. Nobody knows who the other one is. The dial. I mean, this was what Quentin's first like big screen movie, even though it was still all independently financed. I think he
Yeah,
had
it
like
was.
a short film before this.
Um, I think you're probably right. He wrote a couple of screenplays. Look, I know I don't know if he'd written True Romance at this stage, but he wrote that. He wrote Killing Zoe, and he wrote,
Hmm.
which is a weird flick to watch now because my daughter's name is Zoe.
Oh
Um,
man,
and what else did he write? Natural Born Killers.
I was
So
gonna
I think,
say that. Did that come out
yeah,
before this,
no, I think
or did he
Reservoir
write it
Dogs.
before this?
He may have written it before them, but Reservoir Dogs
Uh-huh.
is the first big feature. Um, and like talk about like, opening big, like, and it's so crazy because you're like, how do you improve on it? But like the guy has done it again and again and again and again and
Hmm.
again, like like um, yeah, it's so good. And like I know everyone thinks about like the opening scene, which of course is wonderful, and like the cutting off the ear scene, which is
Hmm.
really sets the tone for his career. But it's all the other like it's never it's never boring. Like it's all, and I know like my wife would disagree. She doesn't like Reservoir Dogs, but she likes most of his stuff, but that one she can't get into. But like it's just so character driven, and the idea of like, hey, we're doing a heist movie. Oh, cool! I can't wait to see that heist. No, we're never going to show you the heist. Like we're going to show you the aftermath, which is generally not what you see in movies, especially at that time.
You took the
Um,
words out of my mouth. One of the things I love so much about this,
mm,
and really Pulp Fiction too, is that he takes you on these crime rides, right? But he always
mm,
shows you the aspects you never see. So in Reservoir Dogs, it's all about after they commit the crime and how they fucked it all up, and now they're in this dingy warehouse trying to
mm.
get something together. And then you look at Pulp Fiction, it's follows, I mean, especially the two hitmen, Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta. Who was it,
Mm.
Jules and Vince or Vic?
Yeah, Vince. Yeah,
And they're driving around in a car pulling up to Jimmy's house. Like, you wouldn't see that in your typical crime movie. Like, we just blew a guy's head off, let's drink coffee and clean it up.
yeah.
Like, you just killed Marvin. But
Man, that flick, I swear, like, especially as a parent, like, one thing I quote all the time is like, "Say what again? I dare you! I double." Like, I like whenever my daughter questions it, like, I'll wait she's out of the room. I say to her, "I'm like, say what again?" Um, it's weird that like I associate with that character as a parent, but there you go.
right, well, he's certainly dominant.
Yeah,
Like, he'll put you in your place. What's no language I ever heard of?
yeah. But damn,
But
that is a delicious burger.
they call it a royale with cheese. Dude, so many quotable moments from that
Yeah.
movie.
Oh man. And like for the first like half hour, like it's
Yeah.
just yeah. But Reservoir Dogs, sorry man, I got on a
Yeah,
tangent
I
there.
mean, you could throw Pulp Fiction like right alongside this one. Both are just amazing. Um, Man, just the style of it, like you said, it sets the tone for his later works, but it's just cool. Like you
Mm,
watch this, you're like, these guys walk cool, they talk cool, they act
mm.
cool, they're dressed cool. Like that's one word I would use to describe this movie.
Yeah. And they walk cool to like cool music.
Yeah,
Like that
like you want
whole
to be these
opening.
guys.
Yeah.
Like it makes bank robbing look or jewel robbing look sexy. Like hell yeah, I want to put on a suit and go rob a jewelry store. And if the FBI is listening, I don't actually mean that.
And if it was any other filmmaker, they would show the heist and you'd be like, yeah, that's
Hmm.
cool. But like Tarantino shows you very quickly why it's not cool. Like like very quickly.
And one of the
Um
things I do like when they do flash back to the heist, it's like two or three scenes, and they're all like 30 seconds of what went wrong.
mm. And I love like he introduced it here in Cinema the last time he'll do it, the juxtaposition of like, hey, here's a catchy pop song that you associate with positivity.
Hmm.
Let's brutally torture someone, so we like ruin that pop song forever.
And
Uh,
I love when music is used like that.
mm.
I think it was on the High Tension episode of Midnight Terrors I brought this up, but
Yes, 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 you did.
the Hitman 3 video game where you're searching for this guy's kidnapped daughter and you find him and she's all hacked up and Put Your Head on My Shoulder is playing. Like,
Mm.
never look at that song the same because it's like, oh yeah, I remember the horrible shit I saw when that song was playing.
Yeah, it's really unsettling. Like when they do that, like Cannibal Holocaust, I've referenced a couple of times. Like if you've ever seen that movie, the score is like the most beautiful, like uh it just sets up the environment like, oh yeah, I'm like going through the forest, like there's animals and there's flora and fauna, it's gorgeous. oh, and we've decapitated and eaten people. It's just like this weird juxtaposition, and it's so it turns it like it has this weird way of twisting in something that's meant to be beautiful into just haunting and unsettling. And
Mhm.
I'm not haunted by Stuck in the Middle with You, but look, I don't think of anything else. Like, which it's like this is no longer a fun song. This is a cutting off an ear
Right.
song.
And and too, I mean, I don't think we can talk about a Tarantino movie without talking about his dialogue
Hmm.
and how driven his stories are by it and how great it really is. And I never understand how people can say this is boring. Like, I know for me, like being in boxing and weightlifting, like I've hung around a lot of ex-cons and present criminals, and like this is how they talk. Like
Yeah.
they're like, well, fucking this and fucking that, and telling dirty jokes constantly. Like, it makes you feel like when you're in the diner, you're there with just a bunch of ratty dudes, like saying crazy shit.
Yeah. No, 100%. What I love about that is like that scene in particular. I don't know like how if you've heard it before. Like Kevin Smith says, he's like, if I hadn't seen that scene, Clerks wouldn't exist. It's like
Mm,
I was like, oh, you can just talk about whatever you like in films. It doesn't have to have a purpose. It can just be guys shooting the breeze, talking about what's on the radio or what's on TV. And it's like, oh, well, I love talking about movies, so I guess we're putting Star Wars in this movie, and then like a career is born. And even if you don't like Kevin Smith's work, like without Kevin Smith, you don't get 40-Year-Old Virgin and the Apatow era of
mm,
comedy, like because he took this big swing. He took the first step of like, I'm gonna make a dirty comedy, and like maybe people will like it. And then like it took 10, 15 years, but suddenly they became popular and profitable, and everyone's like, oh yeah, so but none of that happens without that scene in Reservoir Dogs, which is kind of like in many ways, Quentin Tarantino was responsible for the 40-Year-Old Virgin and Superbad, like in a weird way.
mm. What is it? 6 degrees of separation from Tarantino.
That's it. We got there in two. We're fine.
Right.
Um,
And and too, you touched on this as well, but just the violence in his
mm,
movies and how it's portrayed. Like, not only the ear scene, but Mr. Orange is over there on the ramp, and I remember hearing they were using gallons upon gallons of
yeah.
blood each day they would shoot to just cake him in blood.
Mm,
And one I think it's underrated is whenever Mr. Blonde gets shot, and it doesn't really show him much afterwards, but he is just bleeding out
yeah.
everywhere in the few scenes you see of it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It does have that like it's got that real like it's a very raw film like in terms of just the way it's shot and the way it looks and the way it feels. It's got this real like you talked before about like feeling dirty or feeling grimy watching something or reading something, and I feel that way more so with Reservoir Dogs than any other film, like because it's just
Hmm.
like there's guys in this flick, they're literally bleeding out, and that's not to say that no one else in a Tarantino film has bled out, like plenty have, but it's like 12 hours ago, like they were sipping coffee. I'm like, this is gonna be great. We're gonna be
Mhm.
rich. And now like they're all falling away like flies, like they're in a dirty warehouse. They don't know who to trust. Like they truly have never been more alone and they're just bleeding out. It's like,
Mhm.
my God, like this is like it through any other prism, that's a Saw movie. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Right, yeah.
so like yeah. Um
Well, you bring up a good point too, and just totally forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, yes, that you said about they don't know who to trust and who the rat could be. It brings in that mystery element to it,
mm,
all that suspense, because us with the viewer for the majority of the movie, we're trying to figure that out as well. Like, who could the rat be? And when it's revealed, you're like, there's no way it could be that guy. And it leads into, Tarantino's signature of that non-linear storytelling. It
mm.
jumps back in time and goes deep into one character and jumps back in time again. What do you think of that? Do you like that style of storytelling in movies?
I do. I feel like there was a that's it, I do. I feel like there was a time, and it happened, I think, in the kind of mid 2000s. Like that's the thing, because Tarantino was around for like a decade, and then but he
Hmm.
disappeared. Like he made three flicks and then doesn't do anything for 6 years. And when he comes back, he makes Kill Bill, and you're like, Jackie Brown is a wonderful film, but how do you make the leap from Jackie Brown to Kill Bill? They're so vastly different in like style and like it's like all he did was study for 6 years, and he's like, hey, here's my thesis on what I've learned because it's such a step up in quality and visuals and everything like that. But around the when Kill Bill came out, I started to notice a lot where it's like every other filmmaker was like, "Well, we can play with time," and
Hmm.
it's like you can, but like it's got to like serve the story and it's got to like make sense. And I felt like a lot of people were trying to ape it and they couldn't quite get it. But for Tarantino, I like it quite a bit. It's a real staple of his style, and I really enjoy the way he does it. So yeah, it's a big part of it, but it's just because you can do it, I think doesn't mean you should do it. It's got to serve the story. But I love it the way he does it for sure. And in Reservoir Dogs, like I don't think there's any other way to tell that story. Like you tell it in linear
Mm.
form, the game's up in the first 5 seconds. You're like, oh, yeah, well, here's the cop. He's there.
Right.
Like,
There's the cop goes wrong. Okay, well, once Joe get here.
Mm. But
Well,
no, I do like
also,
it for sure.
hmm and then dude, I keep dropping the ball on what I'm thinking. I was gonna say, yeah, whatever. Kill. But oh yeah, that's what it was. It was Jackie Brown. That's one I'm not familiar with. I saw it when I
Okay.
was fairly young. Like I saw Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and then Jackie Brown, and I just like don't remember anything about it. It's one I need to revisit. But I know
It's
a lot of guys from Pulp Fiction were in Jackie Brown that were in Kill Bill, right?
Yeah, there's definitely some crossover. It's really good. Like it's a really good flick. It's the only time he didn't like write. It's not based. It's on original work. So he based it on a was it James Elroy, the guy who did LA? I can't remember who the Elmo is. It Elmo Leonard? I don't know. It's based on a novel. I can't remember who it was. Of course, I'm not giving credit to the original writer because I can't remember. But yeah, it's based. It's an adaptation of a book. And so it's a little bit different because it's definitely a Tarantino film, but it's definitely leaning more into that black exploitation style, which
Hmm.
isn't, I guess, what he's known for. Um, but it's totally good. It's just very different, and I guess like it's kind of a redheaded stepchild of his filmography because people don't think about that one as much or talk about that one as much because it's not a QT original, but it's totally worth your time. It's really good. It's like Samuel L. Jackson playing a villain. You got Pam Grier because obviously she was in like Coffee and Foxy Brown and stuff back in the day.
Hmm.
Which, by the way, if you've never seen Coffee, like this, everyone go and watch Coffee. Like, oh my god, what a great flick! She's wonderful in it. Robert De Niro is in it. Bridget Fonda's in it. Like, it's a great crime flick. It's just
Hmm.
yeah, it's like Jackie Brown is an air stewardess, and she like is responsible for smuggling money through the planes because she won't get checked. So she like does like all these like smuggling things, and then she gets caught up in a bad deal and has to like try and find a way out. Michael Keaton, I think, is in as well. Um,
Damn.
yeah, totally good, totally good. But yeah, like watching that movie and then going to Kill Bill, I'm like, how did he do it? I don't like.
Yeah.
How did he do it? Like, it's just so different. And Kill Bill, like, is my personal favorite
Hmm.
Quentin Tarantino. I love Kill Bill. Like, it was my first. I have this theory that your first Tarantino film is generally your favorite one, because it had like it struck such a chord with you. It doesn't always pan out, but most of the time I find that to be true. And Kill Bill has just always sat with them. It's like this is amazing. But Inglorious Bastards very close second.
Mm.
Um,
Arrivederci.
yeah, Buongiorno. That's how I was rocking around Italy the other week. I was just doing
Yes.
my best Brad Pitt. I have a question for you. I'm interested to know what are your thoughts and feelings on Hateful Eight?
Oh, I love Hateful Eight. It
Reason,
is,
so go on, yeah, please.
oh, it's just so long, but
Mm,
I am never bored. I'm constantly wondering what's going to happen next.
mm,
And then when the shit hits the fan, it is just so bonkers. Like, how can you not love it?
The reason I ask is I have this theory that it's basically a big budget spiritual remake of Reservoir Dogs. I feel like it's pretty much like
Ah,
in terms of beats, in terms of like betrayal, in terms of traders, in terms of like it all being basically in one location. Like it does have a like. There's a lot of similar. I was watching that. I'm like, is this Reservoir Dogs again? Because
wow.
I am
I
here
never
for it.
picked up on that. I can
But
see
like,
it.
there's a lot of similarities. But like, I can watch them both back to back and be like, these are both two excellent different films. But
Hmm.
I feel like there's a lot. It feels kind of like, yeah, he's like, what if I did Reservoir Dogs, but like in 200 years ago? Let's see what we can
Right.
do with that. Um,
That's
my
a
history is not so good, but yeah.
It's around there. That's a great pickup, man. Like I never thought of that, but it does make sense. You know, you have these crazy criminal characters all trapped in what do they call it? The word gets stuck in my head every now and then, like a derby or whatever.
Yeah,
They're trapped in a cabin
you've even
and
got you've even got Tim Roth there again, like
haberdashery.
haberdashery. That's what it is. Yeah, Vinny's
Yes.
haberdashery. Um,
And man, yeah, that is another just great movie. But one thing I wanted to bring up with the nonlinear storytelling, you might get a kick out of this story. It was the first time I was watching Pulp Fiction, and I was watching it on one of the movie channels. And there's that line where Jules and Vince are talking about how Marcellus Wallace threw that dude out of a window for
Mm.
giving his wife a massage or whatever. Well, somewhere along the line, I changed the channel without knowing it. And I changed it to this other movie where this dude is throwing another dude out of a window. And it's like nighttime and raining. And I'm like, oh, this must be the flashback to when Marcellus Wallace threw a dude out of a window. And this movie keeps going on and on and on, and I'm just like, wait a second, like, where's Samuel L. Jackson? Like, this doesn't seem like it's the same movie. So
This
I
flashback's
start,
really long. It's been going for
right,
45
I'm like,
minutes.
damn, this is the whole movie. So I start flipping back and forth, and I join up back up with Pulp Fiction, like whenever Bruce Willis is on, and I'm just like,
Mm.
what the fuck happened? Like, what are the odds that a movie like that would be on at the same time?
That's genius. Yeah,
So,
I got a similar story. It didn't happen to me, but I heard it on. I don't know if you ever watched Ted Lasso, but there's
boy,
a
that name sounds familiar. Oh yeah, he's
this
Swanson
yeah,
in
Jason Sudeikis. He's a like an SNL guy, but anyway, the guy
mhm.
who wrote Ted Lasso has a movie podcast as well, Films to Be Buried With, and he was
Oh,
interviewing.
soccer coach, right?
Yeah, the soccer one. Yeah.
For one job I was applying for, I forget what one, but they had me write a press release, and one was about Ted Lasso. I'm like,
Oh,
I've never heard
cool.
of this, but all right.
Nice one. Well, the guy who's like the head writer, one of the writers on the show, like he has a movie podcast, and he was telling a very similar story to what you told, where the guy who's interviewing his dad was like watching like Murder on the Orange Express or whatever, and at a certain point, like he's like this old Greek man, he couldn't like get into it. He's like, oh, let's change something else, and they put on the BFG, and
Hmm.
like 20 minutes into the BFG, his dad looks really confused. He's like, what's going on? He's like, is this guy a suspect in the murder? Like, he just completely forgot there was two different movies and thought the giant was part of the Murder on the Orange Express. And that's what that made me think of.
Okay.
Shout out to Films to Be
It's
Buried With, which is a great podcast. Um,
that's like a modern thing because way back when you would watch movies on the big screen, you didn't have the option to change the channel. So it's
yeah,
like you could easily accidentally do that shit without knowing it and being like, is this the same movie?
yeah, 100%. And then sometimes you watch movies and they just do that, and you're like, what? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you go, yeah.
Check the channel real quick.
Nice one, man. Reservoir Dogs, like, what a great flick.
Oh yeah.
Um, which brings us to number one. We
Oh my God.
which I feel like it's another Tarantino film, but I could be wrong.
Oh, you're
Um,
close.
hit me with it. What's your number one?
Oh, it's not far off. It is Scorsese's The Departed.
Oh, of course, that's right. You did say The Departed was on your list before. Oh my God, what a great flick!
And I find it's horribly underrated. Like nobody ever talks about The Departed. I'm like, what are you doing? Like this
Oh,
is
we do on this podcast. Don't worry. Like the second episode we ever did was a Scorsese list, and we both had The Departed listed at number one. So,
Wow. All right.
yeah,
I'm in good company.
yeah.
There was one time I was flying back from Vegas and I ended up sitting next to this dude from Boston. And of course, he knows The Departed.
Mm.
And we're just quoting this thing the whole way back. And his wife is sitting next to us, just looking so annoyed at just the whole situation. She's like, why did this guy have to sit here? But I mean, what a great movie. And it's somewhat of a remake, too. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's a
From
remake of
Infernal
Infernal Affairs.
Affairs?
Yeah,
Yeah. I would
which
love to see that.
I'll say I've seen the trilogy. I don't remember a ton from it, but I will say Departed, I think, improves on the source material,
Hmm.
like which is rare, especially when you get an American remake of the international film. Like it generally
Right.
doesn't pan out. But yeah, I mean, look at Scorsese. Like it was probably going to work out. Um, I remember the first time I watched it, I got so confused because I didn't realize that Mark Wahlberg and Matt Damon were both in the film. So I was like,
Hmm.
why does this guy's personality keep changing? I just thought they were the same guy. It's so confused. And
Well,
then when I
one
watched it
thing,
later, I'm like, oh, I was an idiot. Never mind.
well, it is easy to do that because I actually watched something not long ago on The Departed, and I never knew this, but in the opening, there's that training scene with Matt Damon where he's going through everything,
Mm,
right? And then there's that training scene with Leo DiCaprio where he's going through everything.
mm.
Those scenes take place like 5 or 6 years apart.
Yes.
I never picked up on that. I thought they were simultaneous, and
Yeah.
like Matt Damon had some kind of in where he got detective, and you know Leo's the undercover guy. But yeah, I never knew they were years apart like that, and it just goes to show you can watch a movie so many times and still learn something about it.
It And like the first time, and not even the first, like, more than once, like watching that film, that ending still like is shocking because you're like, all right, we're at the end. There's nothing else that could go wrong. And then like once you've watched enough times, you see that like Leo is standing underneath an X, and you're like, oh my
Hmm.
God, like, well, this is about to go really badly again.
Uh-huh. And well, that's one of the things I love with it is there's just so many twists and turns to it.
Mm,
Like you think, Leo's the undercover guy in the gang, Matt Damon's the gang undercover guy in the police. They keep like almost crossing paths. You're wondering who's gonna get caught first, and man, just the whole suspense and the tension in here is just off the charts. And I mean, along with Reservoir Dogs, like the dialogue, I quote this movie
yeah.
basically daily. Like so many memorable lines. Like whenever they're in that or when they're in the briefing room, and the guy's like, "Do we have anything on Costello?" And who is it? Baldwin is like, "Maybe." Or no, it's who's
I forgot Baldwin's in it. He's so good
oh
in that. I
yeah,
could believe-
I'm the guy that does his job. You must be the other guy. Punch. Oh, but who's Dignam, the second lead to Queenan, Martin Sheen? Why can't I think of
Oh,
his Wahlberg, Mark Wahlberg, right?
yeah, it's Mark Wahlberg because he's
Yes.
like just mouthing off at everyone. He's
And
so
they're in
good in
the
it. He's so
he
good in it.
is.
Yeah.
They're in the interrogation room and they're like, "Do we have anything on Costello?" And Wahlberg's like, "Maybe, maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself." Like, I think I use that line at least once a week whenever like it'll be something mundane. My brother will be like, "Hey, we gonna like go get food or something?" I'm like, "Maybe, maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself."
Oh
But
man, it's and like Nicholson is so good in the flick. Like
my favorite
maybe
actor.
oh really? Yeah,
Oh yeah.
he's so good in it. Maybe he's I'm trying to think of anything that came out afterwards, but it might be his last like truly great performance.
Hmm.
Like just and like what a performance to to seal the deal on. Like so good. And this is the guy who was in The Shining, like in Few
Right.
Good Men. Like he didn't need to, and he was the Joker. Like you didn't like
Hmm.
he could have stopped at any point. He's like, I got a few more tricks. Let's see what we can do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what a performance to go out on if this was if
Mm,
it's one of his final ones. Like just playing this old terrible crime boss. Like,
mm.
everything he does is just so fucked up. Like in the beginning credits when he shoots that couple and he's like, "Ah, she fell funny." and,
Yeah.
and Mr. French is like, "Jesus, Jack, I think you should see someone."
I like that's one of those lines where I'm like, I know I shouldn't be laughing at this, but that like there was no reason to shoot that couple. Like he's clearly a monster, but like points for comedic timing, I guess.
Right, I
Like
kind of like him.
yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, he walks that line really well.
But
Oh
yeah,
man,
just an amazing crime drama. Like there's so much to it, not just the whole undercover aspect and will they or won't they get caught, but the different friendships and romantic interests in here. It just, I mean, phenomenal. And I always love watching around St. Patrick's Day too, because it's like so Irish heavy. It's a perfect movie for that holiday.
you
I
got
like to
your
correspond my
calendar.
movies.
You got your
Yes, I
calendar
have my
planned
movie
out. Yeah.
calendar.
And like again, like Scorsese at this point, he's done Goodfellas, he's done Casino, he's done Gangs of New York, like which is criminally underrated, by the way.
Gangs of New
Like,
York.
yeah,
Amazing movie.
like when you're
Build a
talking about
butcher.
the Patriot before, I was thinking about Gangs of New York, and I was
Hmm.
like, because you're talking about them kind of fighting at the end, and I was thinking about that big fight, but
Yeah.
like he did it, like Scorsese could have retired 20 years ago, and instead it's like, hey, there's The Departed, maybe the best film I've ever made. It's like, oh my
Right.
god, like, um, and continues to do so. Like, oh my god, yeah, like I didn't think I'd like a Scorsese film better than Goodfellas, and then yeah, he comes out with Departed. I'm like, well, I might like it better than Goodfellas. It's a really it's really entertaining.
It's
Yeah,
one of those things that's, I mean, I'm not as familiar with movies as music, but I know a lot of times when bands come out with their first album, it's like, wow, that's great. And then their second album's like, ah, that's pretty good. And then the third one's like, eh,
sophomore
it's all
slump.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, so to
um,
hear, or to watch a director just build and build and build and get
mm,
better as they go is something to behold because a lot
mm.
of people run out of steam, but he just
That,
kept cranking.
that's what I like about Edgar Wright, who did Shaun of the Dead, and Hot Fuzz and stuff like that. Like if you watch his career, he's only made 6 movies in 20 years. Like you're like, hey, come on, let's go.
Hmm.
You can literally track the progression. Like you can see with each film, like he couldn't have made this film if he hadn't made the one previous. I think the most obvious one is Baby Driver. Like you watch Baby
Oh yeah.
Driver, and you're like, he couldn't have got to these car chases. He couldn't have done like this without doing like Scott Pilgrim and without doing World's End. Like you can see like now that he's comfortable doing this, he can go like so you can track that. I love watching that. Scorsese, I just think he's had it in him since birth. I think like he's just like I feel like he was programmed with X amount of films. He's like, I'll just make in my own time, and like it's just like he just everything he touches, is like, wow, what a genius! Like this is great.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
just like that natural talent and years of honing it, just
yeah.
unbeatable.
Absolutely. Man, that is a killer list. Obviously, I've got some homework. I've got to go and watch The Patriot. I'm very excited to do
Oh
so,
yeah.
but that's a solid list, man. Really, really strong. We've been going for 3 hours, so we'll wrap things up in a sec. But did you have any things that didn't quite make the list that you want to shout out? Were there any kind of honorable mentions?
I did have a list of honorable mentions, but I feel like we kind of been talking about a few throughout this, like
Yeah.
Joker, Saving Private Ryan, um, Gladiator. That was another one I loved.
Mm,
I know I first brought up when we were talking about how I got in the movies Days of Thunder, Maximum Overdrive,
mm.
like a lot of nostalgia for
Yeah, for
me,
sure.
and just like I can watch these movies and think back to when I first saw them. And on top of that, they're just so great. And it's weird when I look at my list because a lot of the movies on there are similar, like Reservoir Dogs and Departed are two kind of great crime dramas.
Hmm.
You have The Patriot and The Last Samurai, historical action, a horror movie on there. Um, I thought it'd be more varied. Like I said, I like a lot of the comedy dramas, a lot more like the romance stuff, comedies. Super bad, my all-time favorite comedy is
So
just.
good.
I'll tell you what, that came out at the perfect time
Hmm.
because it's about those guys graduating high school and they're just kind of weird and like bumbling and stuff. And it's just, as a kid graduating that same year it came out, I'm just like, this is so talking about my life right now. Just
Yeah.
being this goofball trying to figure out what I'm going to do after high school. And just the jokes in it are just fucking hilarious. Like,
Yeah. It's
doesn't
like, yeah,
matter how often I've seen it, I can throw it on and still laugh.
yeah, it's so funny. Like it just yeah, it's and like looking back now, like the amount of people who have since made a name for themselves in comedy, you're like, oh my God, like these guys are like
Hmm.
um
Jonah
trying
Hill.
there like Jonah Hill obviously in the lead, but I think like who is it? There's like a guy in there. Oh, yeah, I don't know if you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but Boyle, like he's in that, and like
Okay.
um I think Ken Jeong's in it, and like there's like a bunch of people like, oh my
Mm.
goodness, like they're just getting
Oh
started,
yeah,
and
that's
like
right, he is.
yeah, like there's all these people that you wouldn't even think.
Well, Michael
Um,
Cera too carved out a nice little career for himself there in the
Yeah, like
early 2010s after it.
he'd only really done Arrested Development beforehand, but like Emma Stone, I think that's her first movie, and like
Mm-hmm.
she's won 2 Academy Awards, and like she started in Superbad.
And we all
Uh,
fell in love with her.
yeah, that's a killer list, man. It is. I don't know about you, but it's been a quick 3 hours for me. We've just like
Yeah.
flying through.
I actually
Um,
planned to go see Alien at 6 over here, and we're now 6:18.
oh, you should have told me. I would have
I
wrapped
didn't
things
want to
up for you.
stop. Are you kidding me? I'll catch it at 7 or 9. It's showing all night.
Okay, no worries at all. Um, well, the way
No,
we
I,
like to
I
wrap.
love it, man. I love this long form style. Like, I didn't feel rushed or anything. It's great.
Awesome, good. I'm glad. Um, I would have felt terribly for like, man, like Alien
You
would have
ruined
been
my
better.
plans for the entire weekend. My year is done.
I from what I hear, this Alien flick's pretty good. Like,
Mm,
I'm keen to check it out. I prefer horror Alien to action Alien, so I'm really keen
mm.
to give this one a go. The way we like to wrap up the show is, I say we, I designed it, so the way I
You and
like
your
to wrap up,
production team?
that's me, myself, and I. Is we do a rapid fire question round, so it ends up being a
Oh, okay.
not so rapid fire because I make you think more than you were expecting, and there's no preparation, but just a couple of quick questions, then we'll head out. So first of all, Roy, what was the last movie you watched?
Oh, what was the last movie I watched? It was for a podcast. And we just recorded it last week, so I should probably know which one it was. Um, Fuck. I know we did Abigail recently, so I'll say that one. And if the real one comes to mind, I will jump in and say that.
Nice one.
But
Still haven't seen
it's
Abigail. I've got the Blu-ray, but nothing to play it on, so I'll be watching it when I can.
it's yeah, I mean, I love the premise and the setup, but uh, just these creepy
Sure.
kids don't do it for me. Like I
Yeah,
can't do creepy kid movies.
fair enough. What's a movie that's been sitting on your watch list forever? You're like, I need to watch it. I want to watch it. I just, for whatever reason, I haven't put it on yet. What's that flick for you? We've all got one.
Talking about Scorsese, I have wanted to see The Irishman since it was first put on Netflix,
Yeah, for sure.
but it's what, like 3.5, 4 hours?
It's a commitment. Yeah, it's a long one.
Yeah.
It's a long one, and I've got to rewatch it because I've only seen it once, and I watched it like up like when my daughter was a newborn, so I was doing like sleep shifts. Probably not the right time to watch that movie.
Hmm.
The pacing is slower than your standard Scorsese film. Like if you saw Killers of the Flower Moon, similar kind of pacing, like
Gotcha.
well made, but just it meanders a bit.
Hmm.
Um, but cool. Okay, good one. We haven't had that one yet, so nice.
Oh.
Um, we haven't really talked about it, but you did say before you left rom-coms. Are you a movie crier? Do you go in and get all teary in movies, or are you just tough guy? Like the way you present yourself to your readers.
Oh, yes, I'm very much a tough guy in real life for sure.
Mm.
I always say I haven't cried since 1988 and I was born in 1989, so I don't care if I'm heartbroken on the inside, I will not cry at a movie.
Yeah, there we go. You might be one
Or
of
if
the
I
few
do, I'll
who's
never admit to it.
you might be one of the few that have said no to that. Most people go, no, yeah.
Wow.
So there you
No,
go. You are a
it
tough
takes
guy.
a lot to get me to cry. And
Yeah.
boy, I'll tell you what, man, I when I was really close, do you remember the movie that came out, Dog?
No.
Dude, it's about this military veteran, right? And
Okay.
his buddy was killed in war, and he
Hmm.
goes to pick up his dog, his military dog from the kennel and take him home, and they have this road trip.
Okay.
The,
Wow.
the whole time I'm just like, you're a tough guy. Don't cry. It's just a dog.
It might have been called something different in Australia because that happens as well. Like
Maybe.
we'll get yeah, which is like yeah, well that helps. Thanks guys.
Yeah, and
To-
it's a pretty generic title too. Like you Google
yeah,
dog, like you're gonna get a billion results.
yeah, just pictures of dogs. I'm like this is not
It's
like
not the movie.
thank you for making my day better, but this is not what I was looking for. Is there an actor or actress that you'll follow their career? Like this person, whatever they make, I'm checking it out. Is there anyone like that for you?
Oh man. Short answer is not really,
Hmm.
but I will say like DiCaprio, a lot of
Yeah.
the stuff he does, it's like if you see his name in a movie, you know it's going to be quality, you know it's going to be good. Like you mentioned like Tarantino with Django Unchained to the earlier stuff like Titanic. He's in Great Gatsby, and
Mm.
he can real. Oh, dude, Inception.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Really,
sure.
anytime you see his name on the marquee, you know that you're going to get something quality, even if the rest of the movie may not be up to par. You know his performance is really going to blow you away. So, I
I
mean,
was
Wolf of Wall Street too. Oh my God,
yeah.
dude, I want to live like that guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it's. I was so glad you brought it up. Like even if the film maybe isn't meeting your expectations, like he's gonna put in a performance. Like the guy
Hmm.
couldn't do a bad performance if he tried. One of my favorite DiCaprio stories is actually the RZA from the Wu Tang.
Oh, I know Wu-Tang.
Yeah, so the RZA, like he went on to acting and stuff like that. My favorite story about DiCaprio is one time like the RZA met him at like an awards show, or whatever. He says to DiCaprio, "You're an actor, huh? Do it."
Hmm.
And I'm just like, what, like, like, how do you demonstrate that? Just like in a conversation, like, that's so funny to me.
Start
Uh,
acting.
yeah, just do it, do it.
And like I said, Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
He's
for
my
sure.
all-time favorite. And this can kind of go into your question about movies I've wanted to see. I've always meant to watch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but I
Oh,
just
so good. Yeah,
never put it on. But like his
yeah.
performance in Easy Rider, I think that was one of his first. Like my dad's favorite movie is Easy Rider, so
Oh, nice.
I've seen that a couple times, and it's always funny to see Nicholson and how young he is, and he still looks like a crazy man.
Young Nicholson is strange. Yeah, it's like
Old Nicholson's
he's
strange too, man.
yeah, but I don't know. Like when I look at Nicholson, I feel like I don't know, can't explain it, but it's like he probably should have been born at age 40. Like I
Right.
don't think he should. It's like
He
it's
shouldn't look young.
his features don't belong on a young face. Um,
What's funny is he looks like my dad. He just looks like my dad. And so, like,
yeah,
when I'm watching a Nicholson movie, like if it's The Shining, it's exactly how my dad looked in the 80s. If I watch The Departed, that's exactly how my dad looks now that he's an older guy. It's just
that's so
hilarious.
funny.
And acts
That's
like him
fun,
too, total maniac.
funny and terrifying for sure.
So you see
Um,
why I grew up to become the man I am.
yeah, for sure. It's all making sense. Um, all right, we don't have to get too negative, but what's the worst movie you've ever seen?
Oh, dude, I have seen some major trash. Like when my buddies and I were in high school, we would get these boxes, like legitimate boxes of horror
Yeah,
movies.
nice.
And they were just zero budget, like filmed on a camcorder, like no microphone. So I mean, I could list a ton of those, but I'll stick with like actual movies,
Sure.
like ones that legitimately came out. Um, Man, as far as worst ones, it's hard because I'm like you, I can usually find enjoyment out of most movies
Mm,
that I've seen, and if I don't like it, I usually just kind of forget about it. Like, yeah, I didn't
yeah, for
like it.
sure.
Why bother remembering it? Um, Man, okay. The first one that comes to mind was I think it might have been Terminator Salvation, the one that takes place in the future.
The Christian Bale one.
Yeah, I think so. There's
I
there's
don't
like a
think
desert.
I think that's the only one I haven't seen. I haven't seen the newest one either, but I don't think I've seen
Okay.
Salvation. So,
Well, I just
um,
remember watching that and thinking back to the original Terminator and how well done all the futuristic sci-fi stuff was in that. And then I'm watching this new Terminator and everything's just all computer generated and I'm just not feeling it at all.
yeah, for
So I
sure.
mean, I turned it off like halfway through. I'm like,
Sure.
well, I don't like this. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm just going to go do something else. And
Yeah.
that's really the one that comes to mind because I just remember thinking how cool this is going to be. Like, man, the scenes in Terminator 1 and 2 of the future war and then we get to see a whole movie of it. It's like, yeah, this is kind of a
Mm.
letdown.
Nice one. Cool beans. Cool beans. I don't know where that came from. I was like, hey man, that was cool beans. Uh,
I
I
like
think I,
1998 too.
yeah, I've got a hot rod on the mind. I think.
Oh, all
Um,
right. Great movie.
and yeah, so good. And then last question is, what movie do you think they should never remake?
Oh, that's a good one. See, I have a weird relationship with remakes because I always tend to enjoy them. Like we were
Me,
talking Hills
me
Have
too.
Eyes,
Yeah,
Rob
for sure.
Zombie's Halloween. Like there's some good remakes out there. One that I don't think should be remade, you could argue whether or not they remade it or not, The Shining.
Hmm. Yeah, for
You know,
sure.
they did the miniseries, but that was kind of Stephen King's thing. It wasn't
Mm.
necessarily a movie. It didn't even follow the Shining movie, you know, like you would expect a remake to. But yeah, I think that is its own piece of cinema. Really, anything Kubrick. Like, I wouldn't want to see a Clockwork Orange remade.
Oh, I don't think you can make it today. Like, you'd have to do it like, yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it. It'd have to be like an
No,
independent film. It's just too violent and like, yeah, there's no way you could make it today.
I don't think
Um,
the singing in the rain scene would translate well with audiences.
and they'd probably want to update and get like a modern song. They'd be like,
Hmm.
what's Umbrella by Rihanna? That's kind of the same thing.
Oh
It's like
yeah.
singing in the rain. It's like, no,
Well, I
come
think
on.
there's something too, and I think about this with like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies or Hellraiser. There's certain characters that are so iconic. Like they tried it with Nightmare, bringing in a different Freddy. It's like, well, Freddy is now Robert Englund. You're not gonna
Mhm.
replace him, you know. And something like The Shining or Clockwork Orange, especially, I'm thinking Clockwork Orange is so much a product of the time period it was made. I think it was written in the early 60s, made into a
Mhm.
movie in the late 60s, early 70s. Like you can't replicate that feel. You can't replicate that film work that they did
Yeah.
into it. And you obviously can't redo Kubrick's direction or even come close to anything like that. So I think those are a couple movies that I would have no interest in seeing them if they were remade.
I think Kubrick's a really good example because I was just thinking like you couldn't remake Full Metal Jacket either. Like
Oh
just
yeah.
like war now is not what war, like we talked about war before. Like
Hmm.
war now is not what war was then. You can't do that. All right, man. Well, you survived. You got through it all. Well done.
Wow, look at that. I'm a
Nice
survivor,
one.
like Destiny's Child over here.
That's it. Before we get out of here, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you on socials and you can plug the books again to let
Yeah,
them know where to, yeah, to get in contact.
absolutely. You can find me. I'm a one-stop shop over on Instagram at author_Honeybrook. There you can see all the ridiculousness I post, like me with a giant sculpture of a tiger. And
I saw
there's
that.
also, dude, it was so ridiculous. Like I dress ridiculous as it is. I always have like a cut off and black skinny jeans. And my brother sees this giant tiger sculpture. He's like, "Well, I'm getting that for my dad, and you're gonna carry it." I'm like, "All right." So I'm walking around like this with this giant tiger. He's like, "I got a picture of this. This is just the weirdest thing I've seen all day." So you can find me author underscore. Let me try this again without stroking out. You can find me at author_Honeybrook on Instagram. There you can find stuff like that, as well as a link to my books, which is why I'm here at the dance. Uh, so my books are all on Amazon, links on Instagram. There you can check out my latest one, When We Once Loved, a little bit of horror, a little bit of romance. We've all been over that. And just the rest of my books, there's 4 other ones, so go check those out.
Nice one. Definitely do it, man. I've read the latest one. I can't wait to dive into the rest. They're worth your time. And 99¢. Oh my
Right.
God, you spend more money on stuff you don't need or care about. Like, please
Less than a
go.
cup of coffee.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. This has been a blast. I did not foresee us going for over 3 hours. I thought we'd like do 90 minutes or 2 hours and kind of call it a day, but I just was like, I'm like, it's almost midnight here, and I'm like, we're gonna keep
Oh
going.
man.
I'm like, let's keep going because this is fun.
Yeah.
So you're welcome back anytime, man. You want to come on, you let me know. We'll talk movies again.
Awesome. Well,
Um,
thank you, brother, and thank you for taking the time to check out my work and taking 3 hours to BS with me on here, man. It's been a blast. I love it.
it's yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. Um, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I was a teenage film snob underscore between every single word. I'm doing video reviews now. I'm trying something a little bit new episodes every week. We've got some more cool guests coming up. But that's going to do it. So thanks again to Roy. Follow him online, support him, buy the book. And as I say every single week on the show, guys, I was a teenage film snob, but I'm trying to be better. We'll see you next week.